ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ, ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ। ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ, ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ। ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ, ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਇਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਸਤਿਨਾਮ ਕਰਤਾ ਪੁਰਖ ਨਿਰਭਉ ਨਿਰਵੈਰ ਅਕਾਲ ਮੂਰਤ ਅਜੂਨੀ ਸੈਭੰ ਗੁਰ ਪ੍ਰਸਾਦ ਜਪ। ਆਦਿ ਸੱਚ ਜੁਗਾਦ ਸੱਚ ਹੈ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ, ਨਾਨਕ ਹੋਸੀ ਭੀ ਸੱਚ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ 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 ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ। ਕਹਾ ਬੁੱਧ ਪ੍ਰਭ ਤੁਛ ਹਮਾਰੀ, ਬਰਨ ਸਕੈ ਮਹਿਮਾ ਜੋ ਤਿਹਾਰੀ। ਹਮ ਨਾ ਸਕਤ ਕਰ ਸਿਫਤ ਤੁਮਾਰੀ, ਆਪ ਲਿਹੋ ਤੁਮ ਕਥਾ ਸੁਧਾਰੀ। ਮੂਕ ਉਚਰੈ ਸ਼ਾਸਤਰ ਖਟ, ਪਿੰਗ ਗਿਰਨ ਚੜ ਜਾਏ। ਅੰਧ ਲਖੈ ਬਦਰੋ ਸੁਨੈ, ਜੋ ਕਾਲ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਾਏ। ਅੰਧ ਲਖੈ ਬਦਰੋ ਸੁਣੈ, ਜੋ ਕਾਲ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਾਏ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। So we're very fortunate over the last few months you have been kind of joining on this series of the biographies of Mahapurush. Just before we start, I don't know if you've attended any of the previous sessions of the Mahapurush, but I've certainly been tuning in and listening on YouTube. I just wanted to ask, so far, out of your experiences, what, if you have attended, that is, would anyone be brave enough to kind of say what they've taken away from those talks so far? Anyone? Yes, but to do more naam simran, more bhajan. How old are you, Put? 9 years old. The age of 9, he's going away with the reflection that main hor bhajan kara. Did you increase it then? Yeah. Oh, very good, very good. If he said no, it would have been a different story then. Very good, well done, Put. Anyone else? Any other? Hanji, Put.
Kind of expand slightly on that. Learn your part, can't, and then you're able to do it. Whether you're at work, on the way to work, because a lot of their sons and their families as well, there is so many jobs beside, so many Nitnems, and we struggle to do ours because we're kind of tied to the Gurdwara or need a bit of assistance or something like that. That's one thing I've taken away.
Very good. So doing Bani Kant, memorizing Gurbani, you can, kirpa to honi hai Gutke Sahib to. You're only going to get blessings from the Gutka Sahib, no matter how much you try. Because sometimes, one or two panktiyan might go a bit away, and then we come back to the Gutka Sahib and we realize, oh, I've been saying it wrong all that time. And I'm galti ho gaya. So, we need the darshan of Akhar all the time, regardless. But we should memorize Gurbani off by heart. Bani Gant, Paise Gant, that's what we've got to think. Apa 8-9 ਘੰਟੇ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ, if you're employed, right? ਪੈਸੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਸਤੇ, right? So that ਆਪਾਂ ਘਰ ਨਵਾਂ ਲੈ ਲਈਏ, ਗੱਡੀ ਵਧੀਆ ਲਈਏ, ਕੱਪੜੇ ਵਧੀਆ ਲਈਏ, but we don't ever think about our spiritual home. We don't ever think about our spiritual ਕੱਪੜੇ. Our spiritual home is Sachkhand. Our spiritual ਕੱਪੜੇ or our qualities, right? What we get stuck at, our negative qualities. Oh, and we all know what our negative qualities are. ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ positive ਗੁਣ ਕੀ ਆ, and those gun can only come from a source, and our source is Gurbani. So when we recite Gurbani, memorize it off our heart, Nitnem vadu rakhne, bade rakhne during the day, then we can get more blessings of Guru Sahib. Turde firde bhi ਆਪਾਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ. There's a lot of bachiyan here who might not be married. How many females are there, Pena, who are not married? Okay, quite a few. Shayad thanu eh dasya na jave, but you should know this, and it's very, very important. Very important. Jad koi bhi karaj hunda, if there's a karaj in our life that is not working out, there's a reason for that. And the reason is that sadde vich kami hai. Okay? Male or female, this is, by the way, not just females. Yeah? Male or female, sadde vich kami hai. Just to be clear on that. Okay? But the reason why I've said to about bachiyan is because don't be under the illusion that sahre ghar vich, when you get married, you're going to get a chance to sit down and read Bani. You're not going to. That's the reality. It's the reality. The reality is, jinna tusi hon karunge now, vad to vad, get your panj baniya, your sat baniya off by heart, minimum, if you can. And anything after that is a bonus. Anything after that is amazing. Anything after that memorized is amazing. Because remember, it's Bibi Amaroji who sanad Asa Diwar di Panktiyan to Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj before they came to the Sharan of Guru Angad Dev Ji Maharaj. And she was doing it Kant, right? She was reciting Gurbani, and what was she doing? Redkadesi, they were making makhan, lassi, adak in the morning. So they were doing their kamkar and they were reciting Gurbani at the same time. So don't be under the illusion that thanu sareyan de samay vich, with very good fortune, you'll get a Sara who will be on it and say, "But tu kuch nahi karna, baith ke the jap tap kar." Very rare that happens. Very, very rare. But if you do get that, that's kirpa. That's proper kirpa. Right? Par eh jaruri hai, bahut jaruri hai. Hun main Singha wala wa. Right? Ithe as samay vich, if you can't make prasada and dal sabji and roti and all that yourself, right? Je nahi gun aunde ho, fir langaran di seva kidda karunge? Langar di seva sab to mahan te uttam seva ya. And in this lecture we'll see Mahapurush themselves hathi seva karde hundi si langar di aap. All the great Mahapurushs, when they wanted blessings of Guru Nanak Dev Ji to Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj, they went to the langar first. Uthon prapt hoya sara kuch. Not eating, seva vichon. Langar di seva is the school of Guru Sikhi. ਤੇ ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਲੰਗਰ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਗੁਣ ਪਰਮੇਸ਼ਰ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਿਲਾਉਣਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਉਹ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆਊਗਾ? How will that ever come? That gun, that quality of sustenance of everyone who comes to you, how will it come to you if you've never done seva? So seva ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਆ. ਜੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੇ ਭਾਗ ਹੋਣ, if you get to a married situation, the whole family are Guru orientated, then seva is already written in your family from day one, which is an amazing thing. Seva to sab kuch prapt hunda hai. Bache, some of the younger kids here, do vad to vad seva, jodyan di and prasad di seva, bartain seva if you can. And if you're lucky and somebody allows you into the kitchen to help out making the Harkowale beans and stuff like that, or pizzas or whatever, that's even better. Par jodyan di seva, sab to mahan, and bartain seva for younger children, sab to big is the greatest seva. So, Sant Jawala Singh ji, Harkowale, I have never met them. There's probably no one in this room who's met them, right? Because they were way beyond our time. They passed away from this world in 1957. All right, so many years ago. But they are one of the greatest Gursikh Mahapurush that I've ever lived. And it's crazy because we don't... Is there anyone here from the Hoshiarpur area in India? Okay, so some of your elders, have they ever spoken about Sant Jawala Singh ji to you? Some of you as a head nodding over there. Anyone else? If you ever go to Hoshiarpur, the whole area is famous for this Mahapurush, Harkowale. Okay? I will explain, I spent some time in India, obviously, not so long ago. I had the chance to go to their sthan as well. I want to share what happened with me as well on that day. Quite some unique experience I had when I went there. So I will be sharing that as well. But I do want to kind of focus on the Mudala Jeevan of Sant Jawala Singh ji. And then obviously some of the little bits of their life which I was quite impressed by or inspired by myself. The whole point is when Mahapurush come into this world, Janam Marana Doho mein nahi. We've got to understand one thing, and a lot of Gursikhs have actually said this to me as well in the past, that you know when a baby is born and the sareer is being made in the body, the soul sometimes comes when the baby exits the body of the mother. So the soul then comes into the world just before birth, because the womb for us is considered to be, it's a consignment. We're consigned there, aren't we? The ਉੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਅਰਦਾਸਾਂ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਨਿਕਲਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ and stuff. So Mahapurush don't come through that. Although their sareer is born, their light or their soul probably comes right at the moment that the body is out of the womb. We don't even see that kirya sometimes. Some of us might see that kirya. But that kirya or that action or that occurrence comes in a very unique way for Gurmukhs. People like Mahapurush. Janam Marana Dohu mein nahi. So they're neither in Janam and neither are they in Maran. They're not consigned in the womb, and they are neither, they can go and come as they please basically. It's their choice. Janam Maran Dohu mein nahi. Jan Parvakari aaye. They are humble servants of Vaheguru, and they come only to do Parupkar. I'm going to break down that word, Parupkar, 3 syllables. Par means paraya vaste, horna vaste. So they come for someone else. Up, nede hoke. Up means nede hoke. Kar means help. So the par upkar, the meaning means that a Mahapurush comes into this world for the sake of others, becomes endearing to them, gets very close to that individual, and then will look after their courage, will look after their, whatever their needs are, they will sustain them, they will materialize them, they will make them happen. That's why they come. They come only for those things. In Sahaskriti Salok, towards the end of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, there's a Bani called Sahaskriti Salok. Sahaskriti is the primal language before Sanskriti. You know, Sanskrit, its mother is Sahaskriti. So Guru Sahib went to the origins basically of everything. Har ek cheez the origin te pahunche, Guru Sahib. And in that, the Gursikhs asked a question of Guru Arjan Dev Ji, who recited Sahaskriti Salok. They asked, who is cool in the heat of Kaljug? This is Gursikhs at the time of Guru Arjan Dev Ji asking that question. So they must have thought that Kaljug was quite pari at that time, right? And this is the time of Guru Arjan Dev Ji. So at that time, some people are suffering. And they're suffering from probably the same things we're suffering from today. I'm going to give an example. Sometimes when I look at Instagram, and I look at what's been put out there by our own Gursikh, maybe individuals, Minu sharm aundi hai. I burn inside. I think that ain't Gursikhi. Internally, I start feeling that feeling. Then obviously, when you're at work, you might hear the dukh sukh of individuals, you hear what happens in Sangat maybe, you hear what's going on in society, you're vicharing in your neighborhood and you hear what's happening to your neighbors, and you think, flipping out, Kaljug is burning hard. We've got the same question now that perhaps those Gursikhs at that time had with Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj. We go towards Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, we go to Sangat to get a little bit of Shanti, right? I know I do. I try to go to Sangat to get that Shanti because I know I'm burning inside. Then we have our own family issues, don't we? We have our own internal issues. We know when we are burning inside. Sanu pataya when we're burning inside and when we need that Shanti, right? Gore might refer to that as well-being or whatever, but sanu bhi pata ke aapa we struggle sometimes. But then there are Gursikhs who might not struggle at all. There might be people here who don't feel that burning because Guru de haath hai ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਿਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਪਰ. Yeah? Par Brahm Hoa Sahai Katha Kirtan Sukhdai. I mention that quote all the time because it's so important and crucial to our lives. And what that means is when Vaheguru wants to be your support, he'll give you katha, he'll give you kirtan. So either you do kirtan or you will do katha, or you will listen to kirtan, you will listen to katha, or you'll be in the sanctuary of somewhere where you'll be doing those two things. When you've got that, you know you're in a good place. And Guru Sahib are looking after you at that time. Because jede gem Maharaj ne sittane thode wal, those gems, they're going to come. They're going to come to you and you might not even realize it, but when you look back, you will think, actually, that decision I made to go to every Thursdays and listen to the stories of Mahapurush has turned my life around completely. These people that we're talking about are not armed individuals. They're not those kind of Instagram type Gursikhs that we see who are planting Katha Vichara in front of us. They're not that. These Gursikhs are the people who got blessings even 300 years after Guru Sahib had come to this world. They're the ones who pukared Sikhi and then got orders from Guru Gobind Singh Ji Maharaj par Parchar karo jaake. And they were given regions by Maharaj themselves. कि आ जगह पंजाब च उत्थे जाके प्रचार करो. So नह शीतलन चंद्र देव है, नह शीतलन बावन चंद्र है. Who is cool in the heat of Kaljug? And Guru Arjan Dev Ji replied back with these pangtiyan. नह शीतलन शीत रुतैन नानक शीतलं साध स्वजन है. Which means, the first line, नह शीतलन चंद्र देव है. The rays of the moon are not cooling. Especially those who are burning with sensations of separation in their lives. You ask any person, jad sona hunda hai, that person who's got grief in their heart maybe, oh saw nahi sakda banda. If a person's stressed, if a person's got some hatred towards someone, oh nahi saw sakda banda. If a person's got some sort of anxiety or stress, unhanu neend nahi audi in the night. So the rays of the moon are not cooling, are they? Because if they were really cooling, then uta shanti vich soge bande. Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj say, Neh Seetalang Bhavan Chandan hai. The sandalwood tree is considered to be the most cooling crop, if you want to put, or on this world. It's considered to be odai tilak banaunde hai. So you get chandan, you grind it down, odai tilak launde hai to the matha. And when you put, if anyone's ever had a tilak to the matha, Hindu veed laundeya, in Hazur Sahib they sometimes do it as well, you feel a really cooling sensation. Jera tilak vi laundeya mathe te. Yeah? It's considered to be very cooling. But the Bhavan sandalwood trees are not cooling, Guru Sahib say, especially as they are wrapped by snakes burning with the venom inside of themselves. If you ever see a sandalwood tree in India, ਉਹਦੇ ਆਲੇ ਦੁਆਲੇ ਸੱਪ ਲੱਗੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, they coiled around them, around the branches. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਠੰਡਕ ਮਹਿਸੂਸ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, ਪਰ the venom doesn't disappear from it. ਜ਼ਹਿਰ ਨਿਕਲਦੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ. The venom kills people, but also stresses the sap out as well. That venom inside them stresses them out as well. Then ਨਹਿ ਸੀਤਲਨ ਸੀਤ ਰੁਤੇਨ, ਰੁੱਤ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ, season ਜਿਹਨੂੰ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. In UK we have 4, probably be 2 now. But like in India, you have 6. So every 2 months, the season changes. The weather changes. The way of everything changes. And the Sitarut is towards the middle of November to the middle of January, which is the colder months. If you ever lived in India in the colder months, no central heating, it's very difficult. Kapde vi bhade pane pende a, you know, raat nu vi, there's very little sunlight that can help you. But that Sitarut is not cooling, especially with those people who got fevers, those people who are ill. If we got to that month, we'd be all awaiting our thandak mehsoos hogi, and then our fevers will cool down, our diseases will leave us. But it's not like that. So what is actually cool in Kaljug? Guru Arjan Dev Ji stated, Nanak Seetalang Sad Swajana hai. Guru Arjan Dev Ji says that the true saints of Vaheguru, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅਸਲ ਸਾਧ ਆ, ਸ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਟ ਸਾਧੂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਸੀਤ, ਉਹ they are very cooling. Their presence and their sangat is cooling as well. Just like when we come to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj and we sit with Maharaj, ਸਾਡੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ angst ਆ, anxiety ਦੂਰ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ, ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਆ. Even when there's no Bani, Kirtan going on, you come to Guru Kar. If you have ever, like Gore or anyone, or kids come from schools when they come to visit, and there's no Kirtan Katha going on, they always comment, "Ke itthe badi shanti, this feels very peaceful. Very peaceful in here. Feels very peaceful." ਹੁਣ ਉਹ ਆਮ ਸਟ੍ਰੇਂਜਰ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਅੱਜ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗੁਰਸਿੱਖ ਰੋਜ਼ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਰੋਜ਼ ਕਥਾ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸੁਣਦੇ ਆ they are getting filled up with this cooling feeling all the time. I remember, and I might have said this before, I remember my gran was a very tatpar katha listener in Guru Kar. She never missed katha. Like even if she was ill, she would go, "Minu Kuljit chhad ke aa the ਪੁੱਤ ਲੈ ਜਾ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਗੁਰੂ ਘਰੇ." Even when she's ill, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਮੈਂ ਜਾਣਾ, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਬੁਲਾਉਂਦਾ, ਮੈਂ ਸੰਗਤ ਦੇ ਬਗੈਰ ਰਹਿ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਕਦੀ. She would say these words. So I would take her to the Gurdwara sahib and then not go myself, go back home. But I remember when she would come back from the Gurdwara sahib, and somebody dropped her off, when we were younger especially, she would bring deg for us and stuff. But I always remember a kind of cooling mehk coming from her. I don't know why I felt that and what the reason was. I don't specifically think she had that much kamai herself, because she was just a normal, ordinary, run-of-the-mill Gursikh, right? But I definitely felt that tandak from her when she would come from Sangat. And I used to always reflect on it, like she always feels kind of cool when she comes from Guru Kar. Maybe it's just Maharaj made her shant, I don't know. But like, it's one of those kind of feelings and reflections that I had when I was younger. And I relate it back to this as well. Ki jehde kamai wale Gursikh hunde a, you automatically feel very cool next to them. I'm going to come back to some panktiyan that Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj had another question from the Gursikhs at that time. I'm going to come back to that question and what those answers that Maharaj gave, because they're very much related to Gurbani. Our everything, our telltale sign, our everything is Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. We should always remember that. Doesn't matter which, this day and age at this moment, in Kaljug, you might have Gursikhs who appear to be Gursikhs and saints. It's very hard to undefine and identify who they are. But Guru Granth Sahib Ji tells us who they are. And Guru Sahib can give indicators as well about this is the type of person that is a true saint, a Gurmukh Pyara. Because there's plenty of false ones. In my life, in my 40 and a half years, odd years here that I've been in this world, I've had the company of great Gursikhs like Baba Thakur Singh Ji, Mahapurush. Then I've had the company of false ones as well. I'm going to be straight up about it. I've had the company of those Pakhandi, false type ones as well, who use Gurbani to make you think that they are saints, but they're not actually saints. And then obviously that's turned sour as well. I'm not afraid to say it, because until you don't see the real and the counterfeit, you don't realize the value of the real either. That's the other thing. At the time of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj, there was a Langri Singh called Baba Kumma Singh Ji. And he was blessed by Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj. They were given Brahm Gyan for their seva basically. He was instructed to return back to Hoshiarpur area, and some of you might have heard of this pind. There's a pind called Langeri. Anyone heard of pind of Langeri in Hoshiarpur area? You've heard of it? So now you know, because that pind was built by Baba Kumma Singh Ji. He was the one who placed the foundation stone of the village. He was a Brahmgyani Mahapurush who did the Langarandi Seva of Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj. So that village became called Langeri because the Langarwale see. Baba Narayan Singh Ji, many years after that, Baba Narayan Singh Ji and Mata Raj Kaur Ji, Baba Narayan Singh is the descendant of Baba Kumma Ji or Baba Kumma Singh Ji. This isn't the same Kumma Mashki, the Sahibzade. It's not that same guy who kept the Sahibzade, Chote Sahibzade, Mata Gujar Kaur Ji, when the whole Parvar Vishora happened. It's not that Baba Kumma Singh Ji. This is a Baba Kumma Singh Ji who's separate. So Baba Narayan Singh Ji and Mata Raj Kaur Ji were Sant Jawala Singh Ji's parents, and they were true Gurmukhs. These people were like imbued in Gurbani and Naam. They weren't armed Gursikh individuals. They were like special Gursikh individuals. They had Bani Kant, they had Simran Kant, they had Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Bani, they had Satkar, they had Shraddha in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, they had the company of great saints as well. And they weren't the normal run-of-the-mill Gursikh. They had 7 daughters born to them, and 3 died in childhood, so they had 4 daughters left. And later on, even some of them passed away. There was only 2 of them left by the time Baba Jawala Singh Ji came to their family. There was a chance meeting with Baba Kaan Das Ji. So what had happened, the mother had gone to do makan. Makan means that they'd gone to do basically afsos at somebody's death. And as they were going with all the bibiyan kathiyan hoke, the bibiyan started shouting and say, oh, ek Mahapurush jande hai. And his name is Baba Kaan Das Ji. And the mother, Baba Bibi Mata Raj Kaur, not out of Shanka, but out of maybe, you know, if you've had 7 children taken or a child taken away from you, you probably get a little bit bitter, don't you? If you had like 7 daughters and then most of them had died, and the mother, imagine the dukh that she might have experienced, or what trauma, we say trauma nowadays, yeah? Trauma would have affected her in some way, shape or form. So she replied back, "Main bade sant dekhe hai." So the Bibiyan all talk is, Mahapurush jande hai, Baba Kaan Das, and he was a proper sant. He wasn't like your arm. And like, what happened? The Mahapurush heard it. He heard this Bibi say, "Main bade Mahapurush dekhe hai, sade ta tiyan le gaye te sade puttar ta koi hoya nahi." She gave kind of a lamba in a way, yeah. But because of her pavana and whatever, Baba Kaan Das Ji heard it, and he turned around, he shouted, and he said, "Fikr na kar." He goes, "Tere 3 munde hone hai." And he goes, "One of them 3 is going to be mine." So look, sometimes like I see that akin to, like, you know, Baba Bota Singh Ji, Baba Garja Singh Ji standing when the Khalsa was down to the minimal numbers, yeah? And then 2 brave Guru Khalsa stood up and said, we heard people saying that Khalsa ta mar gaye sare. So they stood in the middle of the road, they put their tax point up and they said, "No, Khalsa Mariani, we're the owners of this country, you pay us tax." You heard that story, yeah, the Sakhi. I see that sometimes Mahapurushan vich oh ankh ji jagdi hundi hai, aapa pata hai gaye hain. Who do you think? We're dead? No, we're not dead. Aapa jagde hain. Thade 3 ho gaye, ek sada hoga ona chon. And in time, what happened? She gave birth to 3 sons. And one of them, the middle one, was Baba Jawala Singh Ji. He came to this world on the 3rd of May, 1889. Now, I said about the coming into this world of Gurmukhs, right? The coming into this world of souls that are special, right? There's something that always happens at their birth moment to give a little bit of a sign. It's not normal, right? When Sant Ji was born, Sant Jawala Singh Ji, there was an amazing glow that appeared in the room. Prakash Payasi at that time. And the family were already Gursikhs, they were already Gurmukhs. So what they did, before naming him, before anything else, they recited a whole Sahaj Path. And after the Sahaj Path Bhog happened, they invited Sangtan, loads of Sangat came, they gave langar to everyone, they made sure not a single person was left undue without prashada. Everyone was happy. They got everyone's khushiyan. And the hukamnama that came at that time was Tanasri Mahalla Panjwa, Jah Jah Pekho Teh Hajur Dur Kato Hona Jai. Rab Reha Sar Battar Mein. I've forgotten the last few panktiyan. But what that means, Jah Jah Pekho Teh Hajur. Wherever I look, I see Vaheguru. Jah Jah Pekho Teh Hajur. Wherever I look, I see the presence of God. Dur kato na jai. I'm never far away from you. Rav rahe asar battar mein. And Parmeshwar Vaheguru is the way he's been seen wherever I look is in every single molecule. Can you imagine that avastha? It's an avastha. It's a way of being. Where you see Vaheguru in jar avastha, in the boards, in the walls, in the floor, in the nature, in a person, good or bad. Mitra aave, Shatru aave, doesn't matter who. Unan cho Rab disda hai unanu. They see Vaheguru in every single thing. And it's amazing that the avastha that Guru Arjan Dev Ji Maharaj blessed, that hukamnama is exactly the avastha that Sant Jawala Singh Ji got. From Jajja, Jajja on the pehla akhar, they took the Jajja akhar and they named him Jawala Singh. Now, I was thinking, why would they call him Jawala Singh? Obviously, it's quite a nice name at that time. And Jawala, what does Jawala mean? Does anyone know? Anyone know what Jawala means? Jawala means lava or Agni. That's what it means. So I was thinking in my mind, I might be wrong, just my kind of like perception of it, that Prakash that happened when he was born, perhaps it had such an effect on the family, they thought, the bada Prakash wala hoya, so we call him Jawala. Jawala Singh. Okay. A Granthi Singh carried out the Janam Sanskar. So they got patase in a sarblo bata, mixed it with the karpan, and then they put amrit in the mouth of Jawala Singh Ji and gave the rest to the mother. That is our birth sanskar. The advantage of doing the birth sanskar to Gursikhs is that when that kid's 20 years old and you as a parent are worried that he's not following the path and you think that he's going to bad sangat, you will think back to that moment कि महाराज थोड़े रहत मर्यादा च लिखा होया या the Panch Pyare stand in the company of Guru Granth Sahib Ji when he take Amrit and they deny it to the Sangat. They tell the Sangat and drill it into our heads that birth sanskar, when it's done for a child at that age, the first thing that goes into the mouth is Amrit, and the first ardas is done after doing Japji Sahib da part, Nand Sahib da part, and the Amrit's put into the mouth. That kid Gursikh hoga. Oh, that kid will be a warrior. That kid will be a charitable person. That person will be a giver. That person will do Langarani Seva. That person will do Katha Kirtan. That person will be a Gurmukh. They rely on that. That parent will rely on that moment. So we should never forget it. And we should make sure that before anyone sees that child, the first thing that's in the mouth is Amrit when they're born. And the first words that have gone into the mouth of that child are Sri Japji Sahib da part and Anand Sahib. Usually it's the father who does it. But in this sense it was a Granthi Singh. And it happens to be a Granthi Singh because Babaji's occupation later on was the Granthi Singh of the British Army in one of the platoons. At that time, obviously, Gopta Parasi, Baba Jawala Singh Ji like to keep themselves virakt or separated, detached from everyone else. They always spent time in meditation and bhajan, bandagi and simran, all the time. Even when they became a Mahapurush, even when they had like hundreds of sevaks and people around them, they never gave up that feeling of being one with Vaheguru and no one else there. Bhajan bandagi karna, simran karna. Nahi to sade varga hoga, you get 10 cars. Right, drive around, let's go. Get up, everyone come with us. But they spent all their focus, Katha, Kirtan, Sangat, Darshan karne, Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj Ji, de var, bhajan bandgi karna Amrit Vele as much as possible. When they were young, Babaji developed dysentery. The dysentery is basically, does anyone know what dysentery is? It's usually developed due to like poor hygiene or poor sanitation conditions. The dysentery, cholera, these were big diseases at that time across the world, not just in India, even UK here. Sare paase phailya hoya si problem. Par dawai ban gayi si us vele. By that time medication had been made and it had been developed. So with dysentery, ਇਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਟੌਲਟਾਂ ਲੱਗਦੀਆਂ ਖੂਨ ਵਾਲੀ ਟੌਲਟ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ, diarrhea and stuff like that. It was not a very nice thing to happen, but actually it was a kautuk that was going to happen. Because what happened, Mataji took Baba Jawala Singh Ji as a young child to Malpur. Anyone know what Malpur is? Malpur is, anyone been there? There's a very famous Gurdwara there where Baba Ajit Singh Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj Sahib, they went there and stopped there for some time. ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਹੀਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ. ਉੱਥੇ ਅਰਦਾਸਾਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ. Any ਅਰਦਾਸ that's done ਉਹ ਪੂਰਨ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ, just like that. ਮਾਲਪੁਰ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਹੈ ਉੱਥੇ. ਤੇ it was a share, so it was a bit of a city. So they went to get medicine there. On the way back, they hadn't even given medicine. They stopped, because in those days, ਖੂਹ ਤੇ ਰੁਕਣਾ ਪੈਂਦਾ ਸੀ to drink water and stuff like that. So they stopped off to have water. And as they're holding the baby, out of nowhere, you know how you have like horoscope tellers, like Jyotsi, a Jyotsi appeared. He goes, Mataji, je aap ji di blessing hove, kirpa hove, He didn't say blessing obviously at that time, but like he said kirpa hove te mere pair rekha dekh sakda, can I look at his hands and feet? So they looked, and she said of course. So the Jyotshi looked at his feet, looked at his hands, and he said, Mata, he said, thada jehड़ा पुत्तर आ ये ਜਿਹੜੀ ਬਿਮਾਰੀ ਹੈ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਹਟ ਜਾਣੀ ਆ. There's not going to be no more disease. It's going to finish today. She was a bit shocked. She was like, what kind of Jyotshi are you? Like, telling me that his disease is going to stop. Dysentery doesn't just stop like that. We haven't even given him the dua yet. And she goes, "Ne Mata ji, ਇਹਦੇ ਪੈਰ 'ਚ ਅਵਤਾਰੀ ਰੇਖਾ ਆ." So avatari rekha is from, like, if that was my foot, I'm not going to show my foot to you guys, but if that is the big foot there, the big toe, there's a line that goes from the middle of the bit between the arch of your big toe and the next toe, all the way down to the bottom of the sole, or towards the middle of the sole. Avatari rekha kehte hai, padam rekha kehte hai. Some padam rekhas are thick, like if they're really thick and they shine, they are like Guru Sahib type level. They're Puran avatars. If it's thin and goes all the way to the bottom, but it's quite hard line, avatari purush hunde hai, sadhu mahatma brahmgyani hunde hai. Like Guru Amar Das Ji Maharaj got so seen by that Pandit, remember that Sakhi when they on travels, and he saw the line in Guru Amar Das Ji's foot, and he said, "You," and they hadn't been good, they weren't even Guru at that point. He said, "You are an avatari purush. Like, what are you doing all these yatras?" That's a different story. But it disappeared there anyway. And when they said that bachan, the Jyotshi said those words, the Mata got so like taken back by the words. She got so overwhelmed and so overjoyed. Ki mera puttar inna hon harya. Like, I always thought there was something special about him. And while she was like in that kind of state of being overwhelmed, she looked around and the Jyotshi is nowhere to be seen. The Jyotshi bhi gaya. So what they felt it was like koi pratakh, koi parmeshwar da रूह कोई आन के दस गई है कि their child was a blessed child, and the rog disappeared. He got well straight away, no medicine taken. So that was a bit of a kautuk of what happened at the young age. Sanji completed 5 years of school study, just 5 jamata. That's the equivalent of what, year 6 in this country at this moment. Then the parents themselves taught Santaji Bani, Panj Granthi. So Panj Granthi contains Sukhmani Sahib, Asadivar, Bavan Akhri, Dakhani Onkar, Siddh Ghost, Sri Rara Sahib, Kirtan Sohila, Japji Sahib the Part, Shabd Hazare. It's about 10 Baniya in there. It takes Gursikhs, people who've doing it for the first time, probably takes about 5 hours to do one Panj Granthi. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ 3 ਘੰਟਿਆਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਚਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਉਹ ਫਿਰ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਹੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ. But that was actually the Paratan Nitnem of Gursikhs. Actually, that was the Nitnem that was standard required if you wanted to be in the company of a Mahapurush in those times. So you can see how we've fallen. Nowadays, it's probably jina Japji Sahib hi kar lo and that's about it, and then rakh lende a. Ajkal koi oh system nahi reha of old hardcore Mahapurush Bani padhan wale simran bhajan wale. They used to keep chande hoye people around them, not just any old person. Yeah. So parents taught Santi themselves. They had Panj Granthi Bani, then Das Granthi. Das Granthi is a collection of Baniya from Dasam Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Bhagt Bani, which is all the Bhagtandi Bani from in a Pothi Roop. Bhai Vara, which is all the Vara from Guru Granth. Bhai Vara, 22 Vara that appear towards the end of every Rag in Guru Granth Sahib Ji. So Asadi Var is one, Basant Ki Var, Maj Ki Var, and all these different Vara. There's one Rag that's got 3 Vara in it, Ramkali Ki Var, Adak. So all these Bhai Vara, and then you had Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj Santhe as well. So parents, they must be something on it. The father must have been on it. They weren't just normal individuals. They were Gurmukhs themselves. From the age of 6 to 13, Sanji learnt in this way. Then he would assist his father in all tasks. He was very sweet-natured and beloved in the village. At the age of 18, they decide, there was 6'3", Sant Jawala Singh. They were quite tall. Anyone who gets up to about 5'10" or 11 in India, parti ho jande police vich ja fauj vich bhej dinde. Normally, nowadays that's what it is anyway, because they're the only 2 occupations that really pay anything at the moment, unfortunately, for Najwan in Punjab, which is a sad story and sad state of affairs. He entered the 34th Sikhs. He got entry straight away. It's the most highly decorated Sikh regiment in the First World War. And then their station point was Rawalpindi, which is in Pakistan today. Okay? So that's where they went. Now, that area of Rawalpindi was known because there were great Gursikh saints who were in the army before, the British Army, the Punjab. So Maharaja Ranjit Singh had about 4 or 5 regiments, Sikh regiments. And when the British came, they brought all those regiments together and called it the Sikh Regiment Group. But actually, individually, the 34th Platoon and all these different names were given by Maharaja Ranjit Singh ji. So during that time, the Gursikhs and stuff who served in these armies, they were distinguished Mahapurush as well. Like Sant Baba Karam Singh ji Hoti Mardan. Hoti Mardan is a place in Pakistan, well-known Mahapurush, one of the greatest Sikh Mahapurush. If you ever get a chance to read, there's a book called Pachmi Prakash in English. It's the biography of Sant Karam Singh ji Hoti Mardan wale. And what they did and what they, their amazing Jeevan as well. They were all Sikh officers. So when I spent time in India, I had the fortunate time to spend time with a Fauji, a Gursikh who's in one of these regiments recently during 1984 time, and when they tried to mutiny after the 84 attack and stuff, and his name is Samrat Singh. And I got a chance to talk to him about things generally, about what the Sikh armies used to be like and what happened. He says in the past, they never used to do nasha. In the past, they never used to eat meat. In the past, what they used to do, they used to just have solid Gursikhi Jeevan. Everyone was required to take Amrit. In the Gurdwara Sahib, everyone was required to do 2 days Sangat before they went on their army duties. So Kirtan, Katha, everything was viral in the Guru Kar at that time. And they had good Jeevan. They had great good Gursikh Jeevan. There's a lot of Mahapurush around this time who all served in these regiments. A lot of them. I'm going to name a few as we go along. So all the Sikh regiments, I asked that Samrat Singh, the recent person that I met in the Forge, and he said, even to this day, there are Gupt Ruha that came as Mahapurush into the army and then just disappeared completely. Like they come and enlisted in the Indian army at that time, put their name down, Gursikhs even saw them enlist, but then they would disappear. And then when they had a battle situation, that person would appear out of nowhere and just pick a gun up and shoot at army people, or do certain tasks like clear a cannon out of the way, or just do certain brave tasks and then disappear completely. And that person would be oh banda lagda si jeda disappear or gupt ho gaya si. So they believe and they keep a seat for that person. So whenever they travel on a battalion, when they're going somewhere, odi gaddi di seat bhi hundi ya gupt, just a spare seat for this Gupt Mahapurush who just appears in Gursikh form, and they still have that to this day in the Sikh regiments. So they had a reverence for Gamai wale Gursikhs, and a lot of the Fauji at that time respected Baba Karam Singh ji Hoti Mardan wale, who were Mahapurush at that time. I'm just going to go through the Bansavali. Bansavali means the family tree of the Mahapurush, so we understand where we are. Okay? Baba Daya Singh ji is one of the Panch Pyare from Guru Gobind Singh Sahib ji Maharaj at Sri Anandpur Sahib. He's the first Gursikh gave his head to Maharaj. And then Baba Soba Singh ji learned from them. And then Baba Sahib Singh ji Bedi from Guru Nanak Dev ji Maharaj's family. He was a Mahapurush who was born with Guru Gobind Singh Sahib ji Maharaj's bachan. This is another Sakhi. If I go off for tangent, I'm not going to get through this. Yeah? But read about it, how his bachan, how he was born. Baba Sahib Singh ji, Kalatari ji. And then Baba Pag Singh ji Rawalpindi, Baba Bir Singh Narangabad, Baba Maharaj Singh ji, these guys, these Mahapurush fought against the British. They were imprisoned by the British. Baba Maharaj Singh ji was a Karamati Gursikh. He would appear one place fighting Gore in a battlefield, and then appear in another place shooting another Gora in the same place. Gore were dumbfounded by it. They imprisoned him and put him in one of the darkest jails. I can't remember where it was, but I think it was Burma or Kalapani somewhere. And even today, they've got his Gutka Sahib, a Kashera, the Sui Taga in the British Library, and they don't release it, they don't have it out in public. If Gursikh nu pata na lage ki inna karamati Gursikh hoya si, Mahapurush sige. They fought against the British for independence of India at that time. They were the first people to fight against the British. They were even before 1947 and all that thing happened. These guys were even Gursikhan ne pehlan kitiyan Gurbaniyan, and they were Mahapurush today. Baba Ram Singh Ji Narangabad, Baba Karam Singh Ji, and then Baba Aya Singh Ji, who was the incumbent, who was there at the time when Baba Jawala Singh Ji came into the force, into the army. So Baba Aya Singh Ji were the people who were there. So in the 36 Sikhs, there was a Subedar Major called Jawala Singh, also called Jawala Singh. And when Sant Jawala Singh Ji came into the forces, Baba Subedar Jawala Singh Ji on his own, the Subedar Major, went to see Baba Aya Singh Ji. And Baba Aya Singh Ji said, welcome, and they gave him pyar and they gave him prasad and stuff. And then they said, by the way, in your regiment, our Hira, our gem has been enlisted. His name is Jawala Singh, he's your name, he's got your name. He's from this village. His mother and father, their names are this. And he was born with the instructions or the bachan of Baba Khan Das Ji, which is the bachan that we shared to you before when the mother was, So look at the connection, spiritual connection. And Baba Aya Singh Ji says, bring him with you when you come next, because he's not an ordinary soul. So the next time when they came, Baba Jawala Singh Ji was told, he was mesmerized. He goes, how does this person know me? I don't know them. I've heard of their greatness. How does Baba Aya Singh Ji know me? How did he know my mother's name? How does he know that I was born with the bachan of Sant Khan Das Ji? So he's affected. Obviously, he's inside, he's moved, right? So they take a saropa, they take fal and everything. All the Faujis go with Subedar Major. All the Faujis used to go to visit. They went to Baba Aya Singh Ji. When they saw Sant Aya Singh Ji, he just broke down in Bairag straight away. So jiri pichliyan kamaiyan sigiyan, whatever he'd done spiritually, it all came forth in one go. Baba Aya Singh Ji saw him, picked him up because he fell in Mahapurush's charan, and then they gave him instructions of Gurmat, one after the other, bang, 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 one. How to live as a Gursikh, kamai kidda karni hai, bhajan kidda karna, naam ki hunda, sangat ki hundi hai, sad sangat ki hundi hai, and everything, all in one go. And because his bairag and his ability to take the capacity from previous janmas were so kali, they took on everything just like that. They just went recorded in their mind. Jawala Singh just kept registering everything. And then the 5 main bachans were given to Sant Jawala Singh Ji by Sant Aya Singh Ji in summary form. First one was, with every swas, do Simran. Swas na Simran karna hai. Don't let one breath go away in your body without Simran. Second, hankar birti kade grahan nahi karni. Don't ever take on a proud feeling, a hankari feeling. So it shows there that hankar is a choice. For me, that shows that hankar, ego, is a choice. Maharaj said to him, or Sant Aya Singh Ji said to him, कि उन्होंने कि तुसी hankar, when you know that you're feeling a bit proud or feeling a bit hankari, do something at that point to make yourself realize that actually I'm nothing. So have that ability to differentiate what ego is. Sansar, so I should say sansar. Sansar to nirlep Mahapurushan di sangat karni. Do sangat of Mahapurush who are detached from this world. Who live in the world, might walk and talk in the world, but they're detached in here. Reman so kar sannyasa. Oh, my mind, go into this detached form of living. Ban se sadan sabah kar samjo man hi mahe udasa. Consider yourself to be living in this forest of the world, and keep yourself detached in your mind, but live in it. That's the rule. Kise age haath nahi adne. Don't be a beggar in front of anyone. Don't ask for anyone. Ask for anything of anyone. Whatever will come to you as part of what you are ordained, or you don't need to go to that level of asking anyone else for anything. Ekant vas karna. So keep yourself ekant. Keep yourself alone, just you and Maharaj, you and Vaheguru. Attach yourself to Parmeshwar's bhajan in that time. Think about these things, 5 things. Kinni vadiyan instruction aaya. Like, if any of us took one of these instructions on, any one of these, sada jeevan safla ho jayega. We haven't got the ability to do it, by the way. These are only unique to the Mahapurush. Don't even think that I'm going to try this and it's going to happen for you. It won't. Benti, it ain't going to happen. I'm not saying that I practice, but I'm saying to you, this was a particular bhajan to someone who's an adhikari, who's someone who's emptied out many, many janams of lifetimes of bhakti already to get to this point. and they're receiving, and Baba Singh Ji are giving. Okay? They're not, it's not a commodity that perhaps any of us could think about. We can beg for it, that's the most we can do. But this is like a unique correlation. So what was the duties? Sant Jawala Singh Ji taking those instructions, imbued with Naam themselves. They say in some of the pustakas written, this is written by Sant Jawala Singh Harkowale in Virakti Jivan, which is the biography of Sant Jawala Singh Ji, one of the biographies of it. They say that at that point, when they told them that this is how Vaheguru exists and they're permeating everything, what Sant Jawala Singh Ji saw was Sant Aya Singh Ji just dematerialize in front of them and turn into the form of Vaheguru, like Parmeshwar. And they saw Vaheguru everywhere. Sare paase Vaheguru dasya. And because of that, the Jai Jai Pe Khote Hajur Pankti came in their mind, and they just realized that that's what it was all about. That they basically received Gyan. Brahm Gyan us wale prapt ho gaya unhanu us wale in that darshan, because they were so ready. And Sant Aya Singh Ji had actually said it to the Subedar Major. He said, their jot, you know when you make a jot, the vatti jehdi hundi hai, the cotton thing is ready. Tel bhi paya hoya hai, everything is ready. It just needs a light. It just needs a light, and that's all it was. That's all they needed. So they begin to recite the name of the omnipresent Vaheguru everywhere. And then the first thing, one of the first things that they went and sat in a canal which was near the battalion where they were based in Rawalpindi, and they would recite Naam in the army. They didn't turn up for parades. The Subedar Major started getting complaints, and then he went back to the Baba Aya Singh Ji. Baba Aya Singh Ji says, make it happen for him. Make it happen that he doesn't have to attend the parades and stuff. Let him do their bhakti, because they are not here for what you think is your job. They're not here for that. They're here for something else. So by hook and crook, they managed to sort it out. They made adjustments. And they would engage in Simran. 1912, they moved to Peshawar, the jungles of Peshawar. And they lived in the army Gurdwara Sahib. They would do the duty of Prakash and everything. All night, they would stand in the Sarovar up to their neck and do Simran all night. They wouldn't sleep. And then during the day, they would return Amrit Vela, do all the Prakash Seva after Ishnan of Maharaj, of the Jaga, the Prakash Sthan, do all the Seva of the Sangat. When the Diwan would finish, again, they would immerse themselves in the duties of the army. In the evening, Rehra Sahib, and then at night, they wouldn't sleep again. They would go and stand in the water up to their neck, doing Bhajan Bandagi. That water, uitan, see that pani, that Sant Jawala Singh Ji stood in, did that much kamai. I listened to something, it was a little snippet of Sant Jagjit Singh Ji Harkowale, who explained their Jeevan. They said that their father asked Sant Jawala Singh Ji ke, you know, like Nitnem, I'll explain how much that Nitnem was in these next few slides, but they said, Apa 12 saal sutte nahi. 12 saal sutte nahi hai. Dekho, bakhi jehdi a, kan jehdi hundi a na, oh laggi nahi, thalle nahi laggi. Yani ke, they didn't put their body to the floor to sleep. That's what they didn't. Look at the Hankar Birti. Hankar would say, I didn't sleep for 12 years. But they said, Guru di kirpa naal, kand nahi laggan diddi. That Parmeshwar ne, Vaheguru didn't let my shoulder fall onto the floor. Look at the Hankar Birti, the way they communicated it, the words. So they celebrated every Gurpurab. They made Amrit Sanchar after Amrit Sanchar occur. So they were building the network amongst Amritari Gursikhs of that time. There were Gursikhs, other Mahan, great, I can't even say in words, even this, like, the Jeevani Hagi to praise the kind of Mahapurush that they were there at that time. Sant Atar Singh Ji, Mastu Aane Wale. Like these kind of Mahapurush who came and re-established Gursikhi. They built 365 Gurdwara across whole of India and internationally at that time in the late 1800s. They weren't normal individuals. They were Allahi Jota come just to do tasks for Vaheguru. It was an amazing time. So they would, during the day, read Sikh Granths. They would read those Granths that would aid their meditation. And as a result, their influence on the army was going to increase. So all the Najwans started going to them for guidance. He would implore them to give up Maas, Sharab, भजन करो, बंदगी करो, सिमरन करो, जिन्ना सिमरन करोगे उन्ना वधिया होगा. And so everyone saw them as an amazing kind of like inspiration. Now, when they went to Peshawar, when their platoon moved to Peshawar, they happened to meet Baba Kandas Ji, who was the one who did the bhajan about their coming into the world. Imagine that meeting. Now, Baba Kandas Ji was a bit different. They kept a very strict regime around them. So when people would come near them, they would trick them. They would either go silent or they would swear. They would start using random terminology. They even got to the point of throwing bricks at people. But when Sant Jawala Singh Ji came, they knew obviously this is Baba Kandas. They obviously by that time they'd built a spiritual kamai to recognize other saints as well. So what happened when they came, Baba Jawala Singh Ji was hit with a glowing stick, like a stick had been put in the Agni that was thrown by Baba Kandas Ji, hit Baba Jawala Singh Ji in the head. Baba Jawala Singh Ji started bleeding, and they came. Even despite that, Baba Jawala Singh Ji came and hugged Baba Kandas Ji and said these words. Look at the words they said. They said, you know, jungly pigeons, jad khadaka hunda hai na, they fly away straight away. The jungly pigeons do. But he said, I'm a pigeon that lives near a potter. And you know those potters, tatiyare jine hunde ya, they bang at their tools all day long. Because they bang at the tools all day long, the pigeons have got used to it, or they don't get scared, they don't fly away. And he goes, "Main ta oh kabutar hain." He goes, Sant Jawala Singh Ji say, I'm that pigeon, I'm main thatiyara wala kabutar hain, that I can't fly away, no matter how much you try to throw things at me, whatever, main bhajna nahi hega, kyunki I know you are the true potter. You are the person who's going to, like the words of humility. You can't express it, those kind of words. That point, when Baba Kandas Ji realized that they passed the test, they also gave him something straight away, and in a spiritual blessing. And what they gave him was that bade feeling. The feeling that, you know how we feel pain, that jada sanu marda, jada pa prasada banaune tatta lag janda ya, we go see nikaldi hai ne. That bade mukt, that bade feeling disappeared in Sant Jawala Singh Ji with that bhajan. In that hug, in that embrace, because they passed the test, they got rid of that attachment to the sarir in Sant Jawala Singh Ji. So they were numb to the world, they were numb to the sarir. There's sayings of when Mahapurush came, Brahmagyanis came to visit Sant Jawala Singh Ji afterwards, many years afterwards, and they saw Baba Jawala Singh Ji sitting with a red hot piece of coal on their shati, on their body. And when the Mahapurush come, they surprised, they're shocked. They say, why? What? He threw the coal off and they said, Log kende a ke Jawala Singh Brahmagyani a, to main dekhna chaਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਸੱਚੀ Brahmagyani a. What was that? That was an instruction to the others कि ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਆਪ ਨੂੰ Brahmagyani ਕਹੋਗੇ ਆ. But have you actually got to this stage? That it wasn't a hankar thing, it was a teaching, because they'd got to that stage by then. So they remained with this sant for a month, and what happened in that period of time, and this is very important, guys, it's very important. Mahapurush go through things to teach us now. When you become Amritari, when you become Gurwara, you don't go off the path of what the Panch Pyare tell you. I'm telling you from experience, from doing it wrong. Because the moment that you go off, you can get put in different ways. At this time, they took off their clothes, Sant Jawala Singh Ji. They went into Nagan mode. They went into kind of like a Mastana mode, just like Baba Kandas Ji was. News filtered back to Baba Aya Singh Ji, who were Tyar Batyar, Gursikh, Ret, Kirpan, Tari, everything, yeah. And they realized that they needed to go. So Baba Aya Singh Ji took fresh clothes, the star, everything, Kirpan, whatever. They went to Baba Jawala Singh Ji. Just before Baba Jawala Singh Ji came, Baba Kandas Ji said, "O Jawala Singh, uth ja, tera murshid aa gaya, te wo badde dade a, they're very scary, I can't deal with them, tu bhaj ja ithon, tu hi bhaj ja." Baba Jawala Singh Ji realized they couldn't run anywhere. Baba Aya Singh Ji comes, he sees Baba Jawala Singh Ji and he says, "Bhai, aa kapde pao, dastar ban mudke." They reminded him, कि तुसीं जेड़ा प्रचार करना है, you're going to save people. Hundreds and thousands of people are going to listen to your प्रचार. 100,000 people are going to take advantage of where you're going to sit and have Gursikhi, Langar flowing and everything, this ain't going to affect 100,000, this group that you're in. This will only affect 1 banda, 2 bande max, 3 bande max. But you have got something else written for you. So revitalize yourself with Rayat Maryada and focus on it. They weren't off the path. What had happened was, when you're in the spiritual path, it's very easy to get rid of your Qurban. It's very easy to take off your dastar and have your case out like that and think, Minhum Brahm Vastha Milagi, I don't need to do anything. Baba Buddha Ji, Mahapurush, Brahm Gyani in Itihas, stopped doing Ishnan. Guru Arjan Dev Ji found out that Maharaj Ji Ishnan nahi karde. Someone went and said something. Maharaj said to Baba Buddha Ji, Kirpa karo, tusi sade ustad ji hain, but we have to live in the Maryada of the world, because if we don't do it, then the Sikhs aren't going to follow it. From that point on, they would start doing Ishnan again. Because they don't need to do these things. They're already beyond it. They're out of it. But for us, we have to remain within it and remain within the constraints of the Guru Khalsa. So they came back. The 3 types of saint. Mastane, they do Simran, they merge with Vaheguru internally and externally. They become frivolous to the world. No one can really tell that they are merged with Vaheguru. They may give clues now and then, but no one really understands them and gets them because of the way they look. They do not instruct people. The rare individual gets spiritual guidance from them by passing their tests. They are Mastane. Divane are a different type of Mahapurush. They do Simran, they're merged with Vaheguru, they give many hints. Their jivan's like a lighthouse for other people to follow. They do good for those around them. They do paropkar on individuals. People earn their happiness and they get coloured in the name of God. And then you get the Danne type, the Taksal type Mahapurush, the ones steadfast in Maryada. They keep everything, internal, external discipline, cleanliness on the internal, cleanliness on the outside, sucham to the T. Then the words are easy to understand. They make it easy for us to understand and follow. And then they always speak of mukti and liberation and how it can be obtained in the company of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. They help countless individuals. Langar is flowing. So they have physical langar and they have like the spiritual langar flowing as well. That is what Maharaj made us, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj made us, Danne. But that doesn't discount that people can be Diwane or Mastani either. That doesn't discount them. It means that Maharaj said for Baba Aya Singh Ji, told Baba Jawala Singh Ji that your route is actually Danne in this world. Because what is it? Paropkar, isn't it? That's why they come into this world, to do good on others. So they left the army, they become more and more detached. Obstacles were found in their Simran. They realized that the army wasn't for them. Then they went with the soldiers back to Baba Aya Singh Ji. Baba Aya Singh Ji goes, no, you have to stay in the army still, because something's going to happen. And then that something happens, you're going to go to another desh. And when you go to that other desh, you're going to meet other Mahapurush there as well. And you have to meet those Mahapurush in that country. It's written for you. Where was that? In the middle of France and Mesopotamia and Egypt and all these different countries during World War I. Sant Jawala Singh Ji then left with 200 Singhs of the platoon. They were enlisted to fight in World War I. And when they went there, they met other great Gursikhs. Just some certain things that I want to share with you very quickly. They didn't stop their jap tap even in France. There's jungles to this day, forests in Europe where Sant Jawala Singh Ji sat and did bhakti. And we don't know where they are. They might have been close to battles or the front lines. If you do research, you do Khojia or Lavlange, you'll be able to find those places. At the day, he was in the forces and fighting, but in the night, they would sit and do bhakti. They met countless other Gursikhs. Sant Magar Singh Ji Ram Gurdwara, one of the greatest unknown Mahapurush, but they are known by other Mahapurush. Ever get a chance to read that Jivan? Sant Magar Singh Ji Ram Gurdwara, one of the greatest Mahapurush in the British Army, had so much bhajan bandagi in them, so much bhajan bandagi, that one of the greatest Mahapurush, Sant Atar Singh Ji Mastwane, used to bow down to him. That's how great they were. But we don't know about who they were really, how much kamai they did. There's very little about them, information about them. Sant Bhagat Singh Ji was another one who happened to be a follower of Baba Aya Singh Ji. And when Baba Jawala Singh Ji met him, obviously they connected. He was a part of, I think, the 47th Sikhs, which was another battalion there. They had Prakash of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. You might have seen that photo, that very famous, where the soldiers are walking with Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj on their head. That's the 47th Battalion, from what I understand. They had Maharaj with them. They would do a Akhand Path Sahibs on the battlefronts. They had Bani Kirtan going on all the time, even at battlefronts. Darshan of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. In the Battle of Jerusalem, believe it or not, Sant Jawala Singh Ji and all the Singhs, they wanted victory, so they did a Akhand Path Sahib for the Battle of Jerusalem. At that time, the Nazis were attacking it. And dekho, Hind di chadar kehne hain Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj Ji nu. Maharaj saved their country. Jewish, Jew log hai, they owe us. They owe us. Look how was happening. Jerusalem which aake Singhs did a Akhand Path Sahib for victory in the battle. They used dive at that time, jotan laiyan, and there was complaints because when they did the air raids and stuff like that, the lights were on. So they didn't want lights to be working. And then the platoon, the commander-in-chief, he came to Sant Jawala Singh Ji and said, look, you need to stop the lights. He said, well, we're doing it for the victory. We're doing it for the morale of the Gursikhs. If we don't do the Akhand Path Sahib, we're not going to get victory. And then the officer said, okay, you're right there. So we want the morale to be high of them, because obviously at that point, when you're in battle situation, you need the asra of everything going on. For a commanding officer at that time. Anyway, they allowed the Akhand Path to happen, and they were victors. Next day, Jang jit gaye. Then there was a discussion between the meat eaters in the army and Jire nahi si shakde Baba Jawala Singh Ji and all the spy who were with them. The debate happened with them at that time, like it is happening now and always happening, right? What the debate was, that the officer was saying that if you don't eat meat, to Sant Jawala Singh Ji and everyone, that tusi lad kidda sakonge. Sant Jawala Singh Ji's reply was, you don't need meat to fight. You need dil, you need jigra, you need bravery, you need atmak solidity, you need your soul to be strong. And he said, if you don't believe it, let's have a wrestling match. Sant Jawala Singh Ji and all his Singhs on one side, all the non-meat eating, all the meat eating Singhs on the other side. They had a massive force. Who won? Jire non khande si, jire nahi si shakde masu, sare jit gaye. Then the commanders had to feel defeat as well. Ke inhan di dekho gal kinni sahi hai. Dekho bhajan bandgi and the Gurmukhs in the times of Guru Gobind Singh Ji, and even in the World War, Gorean nu bhi dikhal detta ke lukha spirit kinni jaag di jo jinda marji jo marji kave ajkal. But these are written in Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, and it's written here in our history. They returned back to 1916. There was a Akhand Path Sahib in the ships. On the second Akhand Path Sahib, when they were coming back in the ships, a massive tornado, hurricane started. Sare dar gaye. And the food, the nourishment of the Gursikhs is that they have atal sharda on Gurbani. Sant Jawala Singh Ji, they came out to him, Sanji said it's going to take 2 days. Akhand Path Sahib is going to take 2 days. Apa kariye vat to vat. Let's do the Bani. Let's carry on. Dolona. Maharaj kirpa karange. The storm will be going and we'll get home. And that's exactly what happened. They got home, no issues. The tufan disappeared exactly 2 days to the Pog of the second Akhand Path Sahib. Everyone went to their homes when they got back. What did Sant Jawala Singh Ji do? He went straight to Baba Aya Singh Ji. His mother had passed away by that time. It was just their father and the brother and a sister, 2 brothers and a sister left. They asked for permission to leave the army now, because by this time they'd had enough of the kachi nokri and wanted to do pakki nokri of Parmeshwar. A final Akhand Path took place at the battalion. Everyone, even the officers, did satkar of Baba Jawala Singh Ji on his decision. Okay, wow, he's given up on dunyavi stuff to go on to the Atmak Path. Kinni baddi gal hai. They went and did that Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's agya, and then they left the army. From 1917 onwards, Sanji stayed with Baba Aya Singh Ji. They did seva around the clock. For a whole year, Baba Aya Singh Ji instructed them further, giving more guidance about Gurmat and stuff like that. Incidentally, there was an incident. There was a Mahapurush that they met in the World War who was really knowledgeable about yoga, Hatha Yoga. And Sant Jawala Singh Ji learnt yoga from him completely. And then when he came back, his body was really thin. And when he came back to Punjab, and then Sant Aya Singh Ji said, why have you gone so thin for? And he said, Baba, unhone yog mat sikhal detta. He said, okay, yoga is good, but it's not Gurmat. Then Maharaj gave him, Baba Aya Singh Ji then gave him guidance of the 8 anga of yoga, which is according to Patanjali when he wrote about yoga and how to do it. and what the Gursikh equivalent of that is. If you ever want to find that, read Ragmala, a spiritual composition by Kamalpreet Singh Pardesi. In there, they talk about the arth, the meanings that Sant Gurbachan Singh Ji did about Ragmala, and you'll find the 8 ang of what Gurmat says is the 8 ang of yoga according to Gurmat. Then Sant Jawala Singh Ji told him that you've got a Pichle Janam da Tapasthan in Hoshiarpur. You need to go there, the particular jungle, and go and do bhakti there. So then they went. When they got home first, they saw the mother had fasted. Father was absolutely overjoyed knowing that he'd walked onto the path of Gurmat and gone down to the bhajan side of things. And then they find their place, right? They go through another Gursikh, they do a Sahaj Path Bhog, and they go to the actual place who knew of this place in the jungles where Sant Jawala Singh apparently did bhakti in the past janam, and they went and did bhakti there again. But when they got there, they were unsure that is this the actual place where I did bhakti. So they did a benti, they did a ardas. When they did the ardas, they heard a voice, and that voice said, Jawala Singh Ji, ehi ohi jagah hai jithe main tenu dasi si, where you found it. And that voice was Baba Aya Singh Ji. So they didn't communicate through WhatsApp. They didn't communicate like that. These Mahapurush were so charged with Gurbani, Bhajan, Nitnem, and like they had viral communication straight up. They could even visit each other if they wanted to in their astral bodies. But that speech, they had that ability. We can also access those Shaktiyan, but we don't show them as Gursikhs in this day and age. As Gursikhs, we are also able to obtain those blessings, but we just don't do enough. Apa bhajan nahi karde. Apa sun lende hain, it goes in one ear, out the other, and we come back home. We don't actually change our life to do it. How many people have taken annual leave off to do 10 Sukhmani Sahib? No one has. Well, there might be someone in the Sangat. But yeah, but like, no, but honestly, you think about it, no one has ever does that. We always only take annual leave to reduce our stress, or when we want to go and watch Barcelona versus, I don't know, Real Madrid or something. Did they win? Yeah. Okay. So, Guru, then they still got a Shankar. They sat there, they got overjoyed hearing Baba Aya Singh Ji doing this bhajan. They sat and doing bhajan all day, but then they needed a further stamp. Then next morning, as they were sitting in their bhakti, they felt a massive prakash. And when they opened their eyes, Guru Gobind Singh Sahib Ji Maharaj gave darshan. Loads of Singhs with them. Guru Gobind Singh Ji embraced Baba Jawala Singh Ji and said, Jawala Singh, ehi tera asthan hai. Ethe tusi parchar karna Gurmat da. Sangat, Kirtan, Katha, Langar chalao, Gursikhan nu Amrit shakao. They sangat karo Gursikhan di, Santa Mahapurushan di. They gave their sisa and disappeared. At this time, Sanji's Nitnem was 15 Sukhmani Sahibs a day. Panj Baniya times 5. So 5 times Panj Baniya, 25 Japji Sahibs. Later on, this increased to 5 Baniya times 5, 15 Sukhmani Sahibs, 25 Japji Sahibs, and 5 Panj Granthis per day. Per day. They weren't of this world, of this ilk. If you do that much Nitnem, it will take you probably, 48 hours to do? That is 30 hours, 36 hours to do? They were doing it in a day. Inni stage of avastha, because obviously it speeds up. You tried doing Japji Sahib 10 years ago, it was probably 20 minutes long, half an hour long. Now you're doing it, it's 15 minutes long. Tej hunda hai kam. It goes up, it builds up as your avastha increases. Then Holi they met so many different things. All the different sadhus used to go and visit them. 1923, 1936, they stayed at Harkowale Sahib. I'm just going to share this with you. Baba ji ne apne hastkamla naal bhatti te lo gaddi is tarah chulle qaim kite. So wherever they went, they made the langar start. So langar di seva si vat to vat. Aaj vi langar chalde han. This is from Sant Jawala Singh's book. But I want to share it because it talks about their maryada of serving langar. Mahapurushan ne Vivek da pehla langar vich chalu kita. So they started a certain form of langar where it was tip top, like in terms of maryada discipline. Not like anything goes nowadays as it is, yeah. Kesi ishnan karke, jungle pani wale kapde badal ke langar vich jana. So the clothes that they were wearing in the bathroom, they would take that off, new clothes every time, kesi ishnan every time. Then they were going to the langar. Muh agge rumal ban ke, they would cover their mouth. They would make prashada paka ke and vartana. So the pavitrata lai pande jo do jaga manjane. So after someone's eaten, they would lift the pande themselves. They would manj the pande twice with reta or swa, right? Twice, and then they'll be washed. Is tarah langar sadhuan te bahang mane tiyar karna. Males were used to do prasada bartana, but females could use the langar, or later on the maryada came that the females could prepare the langar as well. Now, afterwards, obviously when the separation happened, partition happened, I'm going to share this Saki because it's really important. And it should tell you telltale signs when there's weakness somewhere. What happened was the Hoti Mardan Samprada continued in Pakistan. Sant Jawala Singh came back to Punjab and he sent various messages to Hoti Mardan, okay, you guys need to come over, because they could see the partition happening and what was going to happen. But the Sikhs there, Gur Sikhs there, didn't listen. So what happened, Sant Jawala Singh ji sent a letter to the main Mahapurush Hoti Mardan and said that if anything goes wrong, a time is going to come where you all will have to come here. But if anything goes wrong, show this letter to whoever comes to you to take you out. At that time, what happened, a platoon of Musliman came in partition to attack the Dera Hoti Mardan. If you ever watch a video now, Hoti Mardan is just turned to ruins. If you get a chance to see it, it was the site of so much Kamai and so much Katha, Kirtan, whatever. Now it's gone dilapidated. What happened, there was about 200-300 Singh sadhus still living there, and Musliman came to kill them, to take them out of the Dera and murder them basically. And Jira Mahapurush had siga, he talked to the officer of the Musliman who came to kill them basically. They were paid policeman type individuals at that time. And he said, look, we're going to kill you. Have you got any last requests? He goes, I've got a chitti for you. I've got a letter for you. He said, well, what's this? He was a bit taken aback as well. He gave the letter. When the guy read the letter, this is obviously written by Baba Jawala Singh ji, he puts the letter to his head and he says, I don't know what you guys are, but who's written this letter? And they explained that he used to do seva at this place, he used to also serve Baba Aya Singh ji, Hoti Mardan wale and everything and whatever. And he goes, I don't know what you are, but you lot are great. He goes, what we're going to do, we're going to guard you. No one can come here and attack your dera, and you lot stay here. And they said, why? What's happened? He said, have you read the letter? When they read the letter, what it said in the letter was, my name is Jawala Singh. At our sthan in Harkowale, Punjab, we have 50,000 Musliman having prasada, pani every day. We are looking after them. We don't want them to move to India, move from India, because you are brethren. You are brother. We're looking after them. We're giving prasada pani. So, as far as we, until our breaths are here in our bodies, they're safe. That's it. When obviously Musliman read that, oh, the pani ho gaya ke we're coming to kill these guys. They to sade bhrawan nu idda rakh rahe jidda Rabia, so we should do the rakhi. That was an example. But later on, the condition of Hoti Mardan, the langar there started to go down. Many years later, Sant Jawala Singh came back and he said to the Dera, I think what happened is that people from Hoti Mardan moved over and they got equivalent land in India. So the Hoti Mardan Dera continued in Punjab. But when Sant Jawala Singh went there, he saw a massive difference in how the langar was being conducted and how it used to be. So he went to the main Mahapurush and he said, Bhai Maharaji, bentiya, ke nimrta said bentiya, that the langar standard has fallen. I've seen young girls serving the langar, and I'm being honest, that isn't the maryada of Hoti Mardan, because it used to be so strict. And that Mahapurush didn't like it. He didn't like the fact that Sant Jawala Singh had said that. When Sant Jawala Singh went back to their resting place in the same place, that Mahapurush said, who is he to tell me what to do? Like, where have they come from? He's not even part of the Hoti Mardan. He's got his own place going. Why is he telling me what to do? Sant Jawala Singh ji heard about it from another Gur Sikh. Mahapurush said, look, we were just trying to remind them of the original Maryada. But je nahi, fir apa ki kar sakde hain, fir jehde vadde hai wo ape samjha den. Mahapurush said, the elder lot will tell him himself. So what happened? Sant Jawala Singh disappears. Within about a couple of weeks, the main sevadar of that Mahapurush, the main guy, the main Gurbai, he got into a relationship with a kudi from the langar, and he did something wrong with her. Wo sara rola pe gaya. Because the rola went, that Mahapurush who had said those words about Sant Jawala Singh ji, he got scared. He got stressed out. He couldn't take the anxiety that all the Hoti Mardan name is going to fall now because of this incident. He went and hid in Kamad. You know what Kamad is? Where ganne grow. Uthe ganne lage hoye si. He went and hid in that. No one knew where he was. He went and hid in the ganne. And uthe rola pe gaya that sevadar is being pushed to pillar. You know, like you can imagine what's going on. Similar to what's happening nowadays in Punjab. If you look at what's happened recently, I'm not going to say, but it shows kachiyai, doesn't it? No one's really following Maryada and everyone's just pulling to themselves. Anyway, what happens next? Sant Jawala Singh ji find out, and somebody calls Sant Jawala Singh to come and sort it out. Sant Jawala Singh ji comes back. Instead of going straight to the Gurdwara side, they go straight into the middle of the fields because they know where he's sitting. And they go and find him. No one knew where he was. And they say to him, Ke bhai, je sant banna hai, then you shouldn't be affected by what's going on in the world, right? Good or bad. He said, come back with me. When they came back to the Sangha, then he said, "Main thonu beinti ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਲੰਗਰ ਦੀ ਮਰਿਆਦਾ ਫਿਰ ਤੀ ਉਦਾਂ ਕਰੋ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਸੀਗੀ." And then they revitalized the langar seva again. Now, don't take it in the wrong way. Okay, that means that girls can't do seva. No, it's not that. What it is, it's about maryada. It's about the discipline and prevention rather being the cure rather than reaction. When reaction ho jandi hai, fir problem ho jandi hai, and that's what the issue is. We don't know what our principles are. When someone tells us what our principles are, how langar should be made, how it should be corrected, how it should be delivered, bartauna nahi hona chahida bibiyan che, but I think now they allow bibiyan to make the prasada amongst the Singhs as well. But baratan maryada ki si? Singhi banande si. Ajkal disda hun. If you say, most irritating comment, I'm not being bad, yeah? One of the most irritating comments that I hear when there's a program on, a guy will come on and say, Bibiyan di lod hai langar vich, prasade muk gaya. Have you heard that comment? Fir bandyan nu ki ag lagdi hai? Seva karo jaake. There's photos of Sant Kartar Singh ji Guninata in the langar. No, it's true. Why don't we say at that time? It's such a mentality that we've developed. You know, if somebody came like that in Europe or Bandak and somebody said Langaran di seva di lod hai, it'll be so amazing that the Pradhan himself went into the kitchens and made it. But anyway, langar vich barakat rendi hai, so the langar will receive barakat in this way. I'm not saying this is written by Sant Jawala Singh. And then they would do the salok, Kam, Krodh, or Lo, Moh, Binishjai, Anamev, Nanak Prabh, Sangnagti, Kar Prasad, Gurdev, and other panktiyan there. Then it says, Jakara Chhadan to Baad, Bhai Langar Sangta Shakan, Baad vich Hath Toan, to Baad Chula Padya Jave, Fir Ardas Kiti Jave. No one does Ardas for the langar. No one does systemized langar eating like that anymore, do they? Where the Sangat sit together. Imagine a Guru card, you come and the Gursikhs are washing their hands. I've seen one wedding in my time when it was all Gursikh Sangat, the girl's family, they got all the Sangat to sit down on the floor on the Pangat of the boys' family, who were Gursikhs as well. All the girls' family washed the hands of the boys' family, gave prasada pani to them, then washed and dried their hands afterwards, after ardas, after chule diyas. The boys' family did ardas off the milani for the prasada to be finished. No one's done a Anand Karaj like that to this day. Jera karuga, wo guruan di khushiyan kar lauga, jarur. I've seen only one wedding like that in my whole life in history. What we do, we sit on a table, Gursikh vi hi karan lag paya. That's the most stressful thing, that they put table, Gursikh vi partiyan karan lag paya. They start putting round table. That's not our maryada. Our maryada is pangat vich baitho. Pangat vich baitho. Don't see no Mahapurush who created table maryada for langars. If it was good enough for Sant Jawala Singh ji, Sant Baba Thakur Singh ji, and all these eight great Gursikhs in the past, why isn't it good enough for us? Apa bade ho gaye Guru to? It really irritates me. But anyway, sorry, I had to just vent that. फिर लांगरी सिंह आहो मैं ठीक हो गया मुड़ के फिर लांगरी सिंह आप ही च बच्चे विच भांडे आदत होन फिर लांगरी सिंह themselves would mange the pande themselves. The sevadars used to be chunne hoye कि तुसी भांडे. You see the maryada, one of the is Amrit Parchar Gurdwara still do it like that. They pick up a pande, they cover their mouths, they, you know, हजे maryada है ते उथे जी भी करदा पिया पर शकीए. So ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਵਿਵੇਕ ਦੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਕਿਰਿਆ ਬਾਬਾ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਚਲਾਈ, so the maryada of langar, they started it to the T and banged it out, and it's still followed to this day in their sthans. I'm coming back to that question. I've gone way over time. I'm all right to continue? Baba ji maafi hai, kyunki Mahapurushon da jehda jas hai na, ਇਹ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਵਡਿਆਈ ਆ, and if we're getting it in our kan, then we're only going to profit more, right? And I'm notorious for being late, generally we talk, right? Oh Satguru ji, what are the descriptions of such saints? Remember that question the Guru Sikhs asked Guru Arjan Dev ji about who's cool in Kaljug? Then they asked, Maharaj, you said the saints are cool, then what are the saints? How do we know what saints are? Then Maharaj said these words. They said mantrang ram ram namang dhyanang sarvattar purna hai. Then they say gyanang sam dukh sukhang jugat nirmal nirvairna hai. Dayalang sarvattar jiya panch dokh bevarjata hai. Bhojanang gopal kirtanang alp maya jal kamal rahta hai. उपदेशं सम मित्र सत्र है भगवंत भगत भावनी पर निंदा नह स्रोत श्रवणं आप त्याग सगल रेणुक है खट लख्यं पूर्णं पुरख है नानक नाम साध स्वजन है. 6 qualities that Maharaj highlighted to the Guru Sikhs at the time of a Mahapurush. The first one, mantran ram ram namang dhyanan sarvatra purna. Their focus is on Vaheguru, which is permeating everywhere. And they always have the name of Vaheguru, who is Ramya, who is permeating everywhere and everything at all times. This is what Sant Jawala Singh ji were. Kinna kinne Japji Sahib kar luga, kinne Sukhmani Sahib kar lunge din ch tusi. They were doing that much Nitnem at that time. Sant Jawala Singh ji are known to have the deepest meditative trance, like deepest samadhi jinu kehne hain, than any Mahapurush at that time. Inne and even Taksal sings. I asked my Ustaji, Gurdeep Singh ji, just today actually, we were driving in a car, and I asked him a question, is he Harkowale jane hunde si, and the Sant used to send sings in the Garmiya, because you know that area of Harkowale, when you go, it's really tall trees, really shant. The whole place is called Sant Gad. Sant Gad means the how do you say, the fort of saints, or the Gad jada hunda, there is a rush, the rush of saints, because there were so many Brahmgyani in that area. It's unbelievable. If you ever get a chance to go to Harkowale Gurukar, you go into the main darbar, there's photos of every Mahapurush who are within a 5-10 kilometer area, and they were all blessed by Sant Jawala Singh ji. They were all made into Brahmgyani by them. बहुत बड़े महापुरुष in that area. Some Sant Dalip Singh ji, there's so many. Gyanan sam dukh sukhan jugat nirmal nirvairna. They see comfort and suffering as one. They take away the pain of our karam, and they say main paap kite si, and that's why I'm receiving pain. And they give rewards of our pun. So our pun means our good deeds. A pun could be doing deg on a Gurpurb. A pun could be giving prasada to someone before you take it in your mouth. A pun could be doing simran with someone, doing ardas with someone, doing good actions for someone. They become drishtarup. And I was thinking about this. They actually frame dukh and sukh in front of them. So they're not in dukh and sukh. They frame it in front of them. So they're separated from it. You know, like a counselor. When a counselor talks or a therapist talks to someone, they frame the problem. They allow the person to see the problem instead of being in the problem. And say, look, detach yourself from it and look at it. This is what you're doing. This is what could help, possibly. Have you thought about this? Consider this. They frame the problem, don't they? So, Mahapurush, a Brahmgyani, frames the problem. They don't feel it. They're away from it. They're drishtarup. Drishtarup means they look at it. They observe it from far. How amazing is that? You can, for yourself, do that, and for others do that. Frame the problem. Frame what the issue is. Allow a person, and to teach someone that who is suffering with anxiety, depression, to suffering with their well-being, suffering with their issues in their family, to frame it for them. They have no hatred, and I'm going to go. They went to Hazur Sahib, Baba Jawala Singh ji with the Jatha. The Singhs, when they got there, Baba Nidan Singh ji, who was one of the great Guru Sikhs who started the langar at the Hazur Sahib Asthan, they were really, really ill, really badly ill. Like their sevadars came to Baba Jawala Singh ji and said, please, can you please do kirpa? We still need Baba Nidan Singh ji. Obviously, Baba Nidan Singh Ji knew they wouldn't take any medicine, they were just living in the will of Vaheguru, say, Parmeshwar da hi ditta hoya, I'm going to sahare. But they were really badly ill, they couldn't even talk, they were in difficulty at that time. But they were great Mahapurush themselves. Sant Jawala Singh Ji came, namaskar kiti, and they said, look, dukh, rog, I've tried everything. Obviously, the people listening, the message was for them. Baba Nidan Singh Ji said, I've tried everything. Theek nahi hunda sareer. And Baba Jawala Singh Ji said, no, there's still one thing we can do. He said, what's that? He said, Akhand Path Sahib karaiye. You have to listen to the whole Akhand Path Sahib. Right, so we'll make your Palanga separate, Maharaj separate on a high place. You listen to the whole of Akhand Path Sahib. But jede singh lagange, they have to do Keshi Shnan. They have to make sure all the bastar are swashed clean, that they sana the Bani like properly, so it's not like it's got to be allowed, and you got to hear the whole Akhand Path Sahib. Baba Nidan Singh Ji hadn't got up from their Palanga for many months before this. When they started the Akhand Path Sahib, they got to mud. At the point of mud, Baba Jawala Singh Ji asked Baba Nidan Singh Ji, how are you feeling? They said, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਮੇਰਾ ਸਰੀਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੇਨ ਸੀ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਚਲ ਗਈ, ਬੰਦ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਆ, and they ਪਰ ਹੁਣ ਉੱਠ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ. When the Bhog happened, they got up themselves and matha to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. And that rog couldn't go away from anyone, but they gave the blessings to Gurbani. So look at ourselves, innit? Vadde to vadde rog, we ask people कि किद्दां करनी चाहिए है. If you look at Vasu Bhardwaj, type it into Google, Vasu Bhardwaj, Bhardwaj. He was a doctor from America, didn't believe in God. A few years back, this is about a decade ago probably, you might remember this, he went to Darbar Sahib and somebody told him, Akhand Path Sahib karao. He listened to a whole Akhand Path Sahib, couldn't even get up from bed because his bones are crippled so much, like they'd gone basically into sand. And he listened to a whole Akhand Path Sahib. He saw Jodh coming, the party Singh saw it, the daughter recorded it on camera, it's with the SGPC in their records. A Jodh came from Guru Granth Sahib Ji, went into him, and he felt ultimately better. He got up, by the end of the Akhand Path Sahib, he got up from his bed. He hadn't got up from a bed for nearly, he came on a stretcher and walked out after listening to a whole Akhand Path Sahib. Then he met Sant Gyani Maskeen Ji, and he said to Maskeen Ji said, will you snai everything what's happened on the stage? Then he went on to Manji Sahib and snarred it. It's recorded, you can look on it on the internet. So all his dukh, he was a major surgeon, didn't believe in God, said there's no hope for me, he was like a higher stage of cancer, and he got cured from Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Bani. Koi aisi sarv rog ka aukhad naam. All the medicine is contained in the naam of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, in the Bani itself. Dyalan sarbatar jiya panch dokh bevarjat hai. They are compassionate to all beings. They stop the five senses wandering or the five thieves approaching. They're so focused, they're on it. So I'm not going to, if you see a bibi walking down, look down. You know, like, you don't need to look at her or look at him. You know, like, gaddi chalane hoye, you know, internet, do you need to look at those things? Do we need to really watch those things? Maharaj dekhde ha, Maharaj dekhde ha, aapa dekhde ha. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਅੱਖਾਂ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ. They're the ones that given us the eyes. Continuous Ras Naam Bani sang the Mool Mantra Katha Kirtan. When I went to Harkowale, they said that they go es kamre de darshan kar lo, and it was a kamra where there was unbroken Mool Mantra jap for nearly 40 years. It'd been going on since 1950s. Unbroken Mool Mantra jap in that room. Imagine how charged that is. Obviously we've got Darbar Sahib, but the Kirpaya where there's 24-hour just going on. Kirtan band ho janda, Sukhmani Sahib chal pande on the sides. ਤੇ ਉਹ ਕਿੰਨੇ ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਇਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਚੱਲਦਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ, ਉੱਥੇ ਰੋਗ ਦੂਰ ਹੀ ਹੋਣੇ ਆ. ਭੋਜਨਨ ਗੋਪਾਲ ਕੀਰਤਨੰ ਅਲਪ ਮਾਇਆ ਜਲ ਕਮਲ ਰਹਤੇ. They praise God. God is their nutrition. They don't need food. They see Maya as futile and remain detached from it. When Guru Gobind Singh Ji gave darshan to Sant Jawala Singh Ji on that place, in that asthan, they didn't eat for 8 days. They didn't get up for 8 days from Samadhi. 8 dina baad, then by Nand Singh Ji, who is a person from that place, he saw that Mahapurush had been sitting in the jungles. They hadn't come out for 8 days. Then he went to do benti for Prashada. And Sant Jawala Singh Ji said, he goes, Jithe Mara ne dana pani likhya hai, I'll accept it if you're going to bring it out of love, but then you're going to have to continue this seva. then he had to continue the seva as well. So he was the first Gursikh to do seva of Prasada Pani. His name is not Baba Nand Singh Ji Harkowale, they're different. It was Bhai Nand Singh Ji who started the seva, Baba Jawala Singh Ji. Suppose Nan Gopal Kirtan Alpamaya Jal Kamal Rahte, they remain detached from this world. Obdesan Sam Mitra Satra Hai Bhagwant Bhagata Pavani. They give instructions to all regardless of them being a foe or a friend or enemy. They always have devotion towards bhakti. Somebody complained about Sant Jawala Singh in the army, and they said that they're going to create a mutiny because they were like, all the Naujan were going to them, all the soldiers would listen to Jawala Singh Ji. So they went and complained. And then the Subedar Major, who was also called Jawala Singh, he went to see the commanding officer, the colonel. And the colonel was a Gora. And he goes, I'm getting complaints that this guy is going to do a mutiny, but I think he's actually a good man. So like, I need to see it from my own eyes. The Subedar Major said, no, he's a saint. You got the wrong end of the stick. Somebody's doing in India. They're gossiping, they're slandering you. They're slandering him. When they went to tell Baba Jawala Singh Ji said, koi gal nahi. He goes, jidda hona hukum chi hoga, jidda bhi hoga. Balaran ke Colonel Sahib will go and talk to him. They didn't have no stress. A true Mahapurush doesn't have stress of people slandering them. And they don't indulge in it. They don't want to listen to it either. They'll just get up and walk off. And what happens next? The commanding officer, the Gora, tested Sant Jawala Singh Ji. So he wrote on a piece of paper, Jawala Singh is a good man, and put it in an envelope. And he said to Jawala Singh Ji, he goes, if you can tell me what's in this letter, I understand that you're a spiritual person and you're a great person. I've heard about your powers. You're something special. And Sant Jawala Singh Ji laughed at him. He goes, I'm not into these miracles and all this stuff, but like, we need to stop people gossiping in this enemy because it brings the morale of the soldiers down. They're not concerned about themselves. They said we should stop the morale, we should encourage the morale of soldiers. He says, in the letter you've written, Jawala Singh is a good man. And he was shocked. Because when he opened the letter, he said, Jawala Singh is a good man. Then he said, look, I understand you're something special. Can you tell me something? And he just had, his wife had a child. They used to have their partners there at that time in India. And then he asked him, he goes, what's the meaning of a child? And Sant gave him such a wicked reply, and it's some knowledge for us as well, of what we should guide our children, how we should guide them. He says, C stands for, child means bacha, first of all, they gave that art. Then they said, it's got a further meaning. Colonel, listen to this. He says, C means character. You should encourage your child to have good character. Health. You should encourage your child to have good health, and you should take care of their nutrition. You should, this is the one that really hit me. They said individual, he's an individual. The child's, they have their own individual differences. They are individuals themselves. They are special, they're unique. And you should observe that in your child. Every child have something unique to offer to the Panth. And then, L stands for love. Give them love, and but give them discipline as well. Tarna bhi karni hai. And now that you just let them get away with everything. You have to tell them off as well. Sorry, kids. The colonel was so impressed. So they give. They could have easily turned to the colonel. You know, when we have a management issue, the manager says something in supervision, I don't know if you do, but if you've been called into a little meeting with the manager and they've looked at your performance or something, no, it's not like that. It's like this. You know, you give a reply back, innit? But they gave Updesh back. They gave it back in a good way, in a positive way, looking at the status of everyone else. Anyway, Parninda Nes Rod Sramanang Ab Tyag Sagal Rinake. They do not listen to the slander of others, and they are egoless themselves. They consider themselves to be the dust of all humility. They have that going. Ajikal de Mahapurush, not being bad. But if you say something to someone and they say, ke, banda da kenda si thode par. Kaun kenda si idda mare? I've actually seen Mahapurush make videos of themselves with the Siri Sahib like this and say, Meri Chandi, I don't know if you've seen that video, I'm not going to say who it is. Meri Chandi, main da kar dunga, flana temka, minnu kende amara, and all this one. Sadhu kara hai if they're not going to be, if they're going to be full of agni like that. It'll happen itself. If the person's going to pay themselves, aren't they, if they're going to get slandered. Anyway. Those individuals who possess these 6 qualities that I've just mentioned, they are considered to be perfect beings. Actually, there's 12 altogether, because there's 2 in each. It's like a capsule. So capsule ya she quality and But that's a different art. I'm not going to confuse you too much. All it is, those 6 qualities are the qualities you should see that are the key qualities of a Mahapurush. The experiences of being in the society of saints. There was a Mahapurush there called Sant Jawala Singh ji, Harkowale, and they must have been someone hardcore, because Sant Jawala Singh ji would get up every morning after darshan of Guru Granth Sahib ji. They'd go matha take to him first, Sant Jawala Singh ji, and it's not Sant Jawala Singh ji Radewale. I was trying to find a photo of them, but I couldn't find it. One day they went to Sant Jawala Singh ji, after darshan of Guru Granth Sahib ji, went to Sant Jawala Singh ji, matha take to them, and Sant Jawala Singh ji said, "Mangla Jogesh Mangna." And Sant Jawala Singh ji goes, "I've already got everything, you don't need to give me anything." They were like friends as well, right? They had that pyar amongst each other. They were that, "I've already got everything, I don't need anything." He goes, "Nahi, Mangla Jogesh Mangna," second time. And then he goes, "No." He goes, "Nahi, Mangla Jogesh Mangna," third time. Then Sant Jawala Singh ji shut their eyes and realized there's something up. And what they saw was that Sant Jawala Singh ji are passing away. They're about to die. And up until this point, Sant Jawala Singh ji were very down to earth, chilled out, relaxed, and just bhajan, bandagi, nothing else. Yeah, they weren't volatile in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, and then when they opened their eyes, Sant Jawala Singh ji goes, "No, you're not allowed to go yet. You have to stay here, and I'm not going to let you go. You have to give us another 10 years." And in that period of time, what Sant Jawala Singh ji had done, they'd gone to Maharaj in Sachkhand, got another 10 years for Sant Jawala Singh ji, come back and said, "I've got 10 years for you. You have to stay here, mate. You can't go anywhere." Jaka kahya dargah challa. Jinanda kahya hoya is listen to up there. Sant Jawala Singh ji goes, "All right then, you done your bit, I'm going to do my bit. I'm going to be 10 years here, yeah? I'm going to be in Mastana mode. So after this, you can't question whatever I do. I can do whatever I want, go wherever I want, do whatever I want, but you're going to have to deal with it, mate." Sant Jawala Singh, "I don't care. I'll take you in any form. You're going to stay here." So they stayed. But what happened after that? They said that Sant Jawala Singh ji at that point, up until that point, hadn't got off that manja, and they were quite heavy. So they'd actually gone a bit obese. And at that time, after that point, they got off the manja, and they got so patale in the next 3-4 years. They were mastanne. I'll give you an example. They went to one Bibi's house, right? She had makki di roti there, on there, like 2 makki di rotiyan. And she was very greeb, she was very poor. She had a little bit of keh. Santi went to the house, and he had another Singh with her. And they went into a house randomly, got the makki roti, put all the keh into the makki roti, and start taling the makki rotiyan, like frying them. Obviously, you don't need to fry makki di roti, right? So, tali all the bibiyan kathiyan ho gayan ke eh bechari pehla gareeb ya. And he said, "Main tahi da aaya, I've come to get rid of her gareebi," right? And what they did, oh jehde makki di rotiyan si, they cooked them and they tied it to their parna, and they took it back with them to pata nahi khadiyan honiyan ki pata. But what happened after that, her son bada gareeb si. Within a couple of days, some wealthy Sikh came over and got him a ticket. You are sitting from the descendant of that family, right? You've got the kirpa of Baba Ishar Singh ji on you, or blessings, whatever. But she became wealthy within years. Wo sara chukya gaya. Another really funny one. They went to Sri Anandpur Sahib, and Baba Ishar Singh ji, Baba Jawala Singh ji went to Anandpur Sahib, and Baba Ishar Singh, "Main huni aaya mudke," and they ran off. They ran off into the khet, and there was somebody growing onions. It's a really funny one. And what he did, they grabbed loads of onions, started pulling all the onions out from the field, yeah? Sare ikatthe karan lag pe. Te udhar shikayat hogi, Singh went running back to Baba Jawala Singh ji, that Baba Ishar Singh ji, jo Mastani Virti hai, they're going into the fields, right? And they're pulling out the onions of someone. Oh, bachara, he was greeb as well. He only had a little bit of peali. He had enough just to make 7 rupees of onions if you'd sold them. And that was a lot of money at that time, 7 rupees. This is like 1940s. So when Santaji, they quickly got up and they went, and they saw Ishar Singh and they're laughing. Sant Jawala Singh, "Tu sare gatthe pat le ode bechare de." And he said, "Main ki karna si, bhala karna si ode. I want to do good for him." And he goes, "What are you going to do with the gande?" He goes, "Look, watch." He got all the gande and put it into the Guru's langar at Anandpur Sahib. And we know, like from Sikhi, that if you put anything of your kamad, your hard-earned earning into the Guru's langar, Maharaj gives you 10 times back. And that's the rule. Maharaj does it, right? Ode te bhi kirpa hogi. But then they kept laughing about the langar, the gande, ode sare putle, and then Sant Jawala Singh gave him 7 rupees as well as he got all his wealth as well. There was another one, went to another village. It was a very rich guy, right? What he did, he used to have books. He was like a record keeper. They went into his house. It was actually in Sant Ishar Singh's own village. Went to his own village. His name, Butala kande ne Batala in Amritsar, actually near to Mette, Amritsar side. And when Sant Ishar Singh went to his house, they started clearing all his books everywhere, throwing books left, right, and center, everywhere. Yeah? The guy got vexed because he was rich, and he was like, he came to Sant. He thought he was just a normal person. He goes, "Oh, tu ta Ishar Singh ya, tu ta bade chir bahar rahe, where have you been? Why are you doing this? Why are you ruining my stuff?" He goes, "Main tera kaam nahi kharab kar, main teri jada jehdi hai na patal vich la raha. I'm planting your roots in the patal, in the grounds." Patal means underground, basically. Yeah. And he got vexed. He got so vexed, the guy. He goes, "Tu nikal ja ithon galan kaddiyan," and he threw him out, basically. Then what happened was, Bichari, there was a very Garib hunchback in the same village. He was hunched like that, he was disabled. He was quite Najwan, he was young, but he was hunchback. Sant Ishar Singh walked past him, stopped and saw him, and he goes, "Aja wait, main teri jada pa dawa." He goes, "I want to put your jada right." So he went up to him, gave him some blessings, and disappeared. Over time, what happened? Jada ho Amir banda si, he got really ill himself. Odi sari jaidad finish hogi, munde bhi ode mar gaye. He lost everything. Inna Amir saga, he went to the lowest of the low. Kyunki sadhu nu bahar kadna aaya, he didn't know. ਤੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਇਆ ਵੀ ਗਿਆ ਸੀ ਬਾਦਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਕੇ ਮਹਾਪੁਰਸ਼ ਨੇ ਤੂੰ ਨਾ ਕਹਿ ਬਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੈਂ ਕੋਈ ਨਹੀਂ ਮੰਨਦਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਮਹਾਪੁਰਸ਼ ਨੇ ਛੋਟਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਗਰੀਬ ਸੀਗਾ what happened a few years later Sant Jawala Singh and a few other Mahapurush are sitting in one place and this bibi comes and the bibi got cured of a problem like she had some sort of health problem she got cured by the Mahapurush they gave her some desi dawai she got better and then she said mera bhi kuch socho main hun ki karan. And then they remembered that bachan about that person in the village, who was hunchback. And jira banda dukh vich langya hoya hai na, they don't look at what's the physical aspect. They don't look at it. Oh vi tandi si bibi, she goes, "I don't care. Mera tusi kara do, mera vyah nahi hunda, mera kara do. Oh bhave jiddan da hega, even if he's got hunchback, I don't mind. I'll do it. I'll get married to him." She got married to him. They had 3 sons. Those 3 sons all became very wealthy. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਜੜਾਂ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ ਮਹਾਪੁਰਸ਼ਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਜੜਾਂ ਐਨ ਲੱਗ ਗਈਆਂ. So this is how and this is the company of those kind of Gursikhs that Sant Jawala Singh ji kept. The last thing that I want to share because the time has gone a lot. When they passed away, there's a story behind that as well. Baba Ishar Singh ji said Baba Jawala Singh ji used to go to Chamkaur Sahib to listen to the Bhog of parts every year at a certain time, and that time coincided because there is sadhu hunde he knew. Sant Ishar Singh ji said to him, he goes, "You're going to Chamkaur Sahib," he goes, "I'm going to die afterwards. Mera kaun sanskar karuga? It's my time's up. 10 years are up, mate." And Baba Jawala Singh ji goes, "Tu naale chal, come with me." And then they were doing pakha to Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj in Chamkaur Sahib, and they ਉੱਥੇ ਹੀ ਸਵਾਸ ਨਿਕਲੇ ਬਾਬਾ ਈਸ਼ਰ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਦੇ and then Baba Jawala Singh ji did their saskar in their village, took them back and but the greatness is of these Mahapurusha, this whole sampada Bhoti Mardhan, they will always tell the Sangat ke sada sama aa gaya to go back now, like we're going to die now, it's time for us to go. Te Baba Jawala Singh ji called someone to make a box for them for their body because it was 6'3". They made a coffin or a box, and when they measured it, it was shorter. And then they said you have to make another one, so they made another one, Then made the next one, and Baba Jawala Singh Ji sat in Samadhi down. Like Jira Japji Sahib did Ishnan, Japji Sahib the part, gave Updesh to all the Sangat, said, look, my time's up. Did Japji Sahib the part, sitting, and then Sri Shadage, went back to Sadhikar. Just like that. That box that they used was used for the first Jal Prabha Baba Jawala Singh Ji. Because Hoti Mardan Samparda, they do Jal Prabha of all the Mahapurush. So any Mahapurush who you see who are put into the water, they are all from Hoti Mardan dynasty, going back. Sant Ishwar Singh Ji, Radewale, everyone, all of them, they're all from that background. Sant Ishwar Singh Ji, Radewale were part of Hoti Mardan. They were actually Baba Karam Singh Ji, Hoti Mardan Wale come back again. So they actually come back in another form to do Kirtan. Anyway, that's why the Gurdwara Karamsar is called Gurdwara Karamsar Rada Sahib Wale. Because the last bachan that one of the last bachans that Sant Karam Singh Ji Hoti Mardan Wale did was that the Sangat said to them, you never done Parchar in your life, you just sat here and did Bhakti, and everyone's doing Katha Kirtan, but you never did Parchar. And they said, Agle Janam vich Kirtan karange. So they came back to do Kirtan as Baba Ishwar Singh Ji. That's why then it's called Gurdwara Karamsar Rada Sahib. So they left their body in that way as well. So all the sanskar then happened, and this is the last thing I want to leave. It's a little thing that why do we actually share stories of Mahapurush and what benefit is it for us? When you do Sangat of Mahapurush, you realize that Jiri Purani Sangat hundi, sometimes the old Sangat can come at the end. And like people you've known for many, many years, they come at the end to just get the cream of everything at the end. Sara legend at the end maybe. And what happened was there was some Sangat who found out about the Jal Prabha of Baba Jawala Singh Ji, and they got late for the Jal Prabha. So when they put the box of Baba Jawala Singh Ji into the water, it went down into the water, obviously it submerged, and all the Sangat left at Babawar Sahib, jithe Karde Anandpur Sahib lage was at Babawar Sahib. And the Sangat who'd come late, they were dying to get darshan. So when they came, obviously it's finished, they were so upset. They were standing on the riverbanks. And then suddenly they see the box come up again. So the box came up again, gave darshan to them, and then they disappeared again, then went down. And how can that happen? It was like from nearly 30, 40 minutes since the box had submerged that it happened to come up again and give darshan again in that way, just to fulfill their desires. So when you go to Sangat of Mahapurush, ekta don't become so challa that you become there straight away. Listen to what they've got to say. Listen to what they've got to say. And if it hits a chord, go home and practice it. To become a sadhu, to get into the company of Mahapurush, Brahmgyani ki gata Brahmgyani jana. Only a true Brahmgyani will know who the other Brahmgyani is. So why don't you become one? That's the question. Why don't you actually do the kamai to become one? Je aapa kamai karange ourselves, Maharaj will give those gems on our path themselves. They will provide the gems themselves to you. That's what happened with Sant Singh Ji, Sant Jawala Singh Ji. They met the people at the right time who needed to give them updesh at the right time to move them forward. They continued the maryada of langar to the T. They re-established that. They re-established the maryada of Khandpar Sahibs. They did so much Parchar. They did so much bhakti themselves. In 1950s, Pakistan was going to nuke bomb India. I don't know if you know this. Because they were losing the war. They wanted to get an atom bomb. They were getting Russia to create it for them and nuke the whole of India. Sant Jawala Singh Ji found out about it. Because it was patasi. In their kamai, in their bhajan bandagi, they sat with great Mahapurushs of the time and said, they've got a plan to destroy India like this and the whole of the Guru Cars and everything. Asthan vi sare chale jane si, sara kuch hi ho jana si khatam. And they could see the destruction of what was going to cause. Then all the sadhus said, we need somebody with the greatest kamai to go and do the job of diffusing it. Who are we going to send? And then they decided Sant Jawala Singh Ji, and they did a benti to Sant Jawala Singh Ji, there's no one greater than you in your adhyat of kamai at this moment who can do this task. And Sant Jawala Singh Ji said, well, if Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji Maharaj gave the head for the sake of someone and we have to give a Gurbani, then we have to do it. And in that time, from that point onwards, their seht went so bad. This is just before they passed away. It went so bad they couldn't eat, couldn't drink anything. They kept splitting up blood. All the Sangat found out that they're doing their Gurbani for the Sikh Panth, and all the Gursikhs from different Sampradayas, Sant Guru Singh Ji, everyone came to visit them. They gave a sisa, what blessings. When Sant Guru Singh Ji left from Taksar at that time, they did a bhajan with Sant Jawala Singh Ji. They got Bairag. And Sant Jawala Singh Ji said, "Why are you getting Bairag for?" They said that in one lifetime I was doing Langar Seva, you doing Parchar. In this janam you're doing Parchar, and I'm doing Langar Seva. When we come back again, this is the amazing bhajan. When we come back again, we're going to be at Anandpur Sahib. I'm going to be doing Langar Seva again, and you're going to be doing Parchar again. So why are you worried for? We're going to come back again. Sant Jawala Singh Ji said it to Sant Guru Singh Ji in 1957. So the kid is always there, and they keep coming back again and again and again and again to do Kirpa and bless it. We don't recognize them. That's the issue. And then what happened is when they come to, everyone's doing Khan parts and Bhajan Bandagi and Jap Tap ke pata lag gaya ke Sant Qurbani kar rahe for the sake of this country. And then one day happened that they did ulti in front of the Sangat, and within them this massive gola of khun, I didn't know what it was, came out from their mouth and just fell in front of the Sangat. And then after that, their health started improving and they got back to normal again. And then they said, Guru di kirpa naal o jira hona si o hat gaya. So we don't know what they did, what bombs they diffused and what they went and did, what bala they did, what they had to go through to do kirpa and blessings on us, that we can share their blessings here. My last thing that I want to share with you, that when I went to Harkowale, I went to actually see the president of the SGPC, that, what's his name? The Bagil. I've forgotten his name now anyway. He's got glasses, he's the Pradhan of SGPC. I went to talk to him, he's a lawyer in Hoshiarpur. So I went to see him about an issue, and then on the way back I thought, we're in Hoshiarpur, I've never been to Harkowale, shall I ask me? Let's go to Hoshiarpur. Let me go. Me being me, I didn't ask for directions, so I just followed Harkowale, the village name, and I went there straight. When I got there, I didn't realize that there were so many asthans of Harkowale related Mahapurush that they were all labelled Harkowale. So I just went to the first one thinking that's Harkowale main, and I took a wrong turning. And when I went there, I can see a Gurdwara, that must be it, the big Gurdwara Sahib. When I got closer, I said, this is a bit quiet, it's probably not Harkowale, but I'll just go in anyway. When I went in, it's proper strange, but I don't know why I got darshan of that place. The sthan belonged to a woman Mahapurush, a female Mahapurush, and her name was Bibi Amar Kaur. And she was a Sanghi of Sant Jawala Singh Ji. And you know when Sant Jawala Singh Ji did their long Nitnem and they went back to the river, when they went back to Hoshiarpur, they went into a jungle. They used to stop off at that place, and that Bibi was one of the first Bibis to do Prasada Seva of Sant Jawala Singh Ji. She never married in her life. But what happened was, she was going to get married to someone, and there was a massive family glaze going on. There was people threatening to kill her and murder her. And she heard of Sant Jawala Singh Ji, and she knew that he was in the area. This is before she started their seva. And she started doing Sukhmani Sahib, because she heard that they do so many Sukhmani Sahibs. And one of the faults of Sukhmani Sahib is that Mahapurush do kirpa and they give you darshan automatically. Jira Pardaya Sukhmani Sahib is the reward of Sukhmani Sahib. One of the rewards. And she started doing Bhajan Bandagi, and then Mahapurush gave darshan randomly to her. And they said, Jiri teri takleef hai dur ho jani, don't worry, nothing's going to happen to you. And because she got took out of that such critical moment in her life, she just devoted herself to Bhajan Bandagi. She became one of the biggest Brahmagani female Mahapurush in that area. The pind name is Tunuli Pind, and the sthan is called Sahaj Sar, I think. I might be wrong about that. And when you go there, Sant Jawala Singh Ji's Gurdwara are known for having a little hut. You know the photo of Sant Jawala Singh Ji where they're sitting? I think I had it on there. In the background, there's a little hut in the background. So wherever Guru Granth Sahib Ji's Prakash, they have a little hut outside there. It's like a synonymous with their asthans, anything belonging to Sant Jawala Singh Ji. And I went in there and I took a photo of it. I've got it on my phone if anyone wants to see it after this. But it was the asthan where the Bibi did Kamai, where she became a Mahapurush herself. Her photo is also up as well. Her name is Bibi Amar Kaur ji. You know, you say that Bibi Ana Mahapurush bahut hoiyan ne, bahut zyada hoiyan ne. At Sant Jawala Singh ji's sthan, there was so many Bibiyan whose photos were up there, and they were all Kamai waliyan. Bahut sadhuan, as like proper Kamai wali Brahmagani, Gupt roop which as well. So I thought I'd just share that. And then there was another funny incident that occurred. So when I went to, then they told me that this is the place where you have to go down that way. Then I went to Harkowale side, got the darshan of the Mahapurush there. They said, go and look at the Moon Mantar room. Went there. It's a massive asthan. It was so quiet, but that whole area is so amazing. Those people who live in Hoshiarpur, you're very lucky. It's such an amazing area. You could feel the bhakti in that area, still to this day. Ji karda, you want to go and sit in the jungles and actually go and do bhakti. It's how it felt. But like, yeah, I thought I'd just add that in. And that Sant Isha Singh in Chamkaur Sahib one, the Mastane one, when they passed away in Chamkaur Sahib, they brought him back because he wanted his saskar to happen right near the Nishan Sahib of Harkowale. So when you go into Harkowale Gurdwara Sahib now, they've got a Nishan Sahib there, and it's actually the Angita Sahib of Baba Isha Singh Ji. So, and they say that whatever ardas you have there, wo puri kar de Sant Isha Singh. That Mastane Mahapurush did say. But yeah, that's the story of, well, they have beyond the gun, and we can't do justice to their Kamai in any way, shape or form, no matter how many words we use. So this is just nothing compared to what they actually did in their life. But if you can take any inspiration, I would say, apne Nitnem badao, Guru kar jaya karo. Look, there's another Sakhi, but I'm not going to go into it too much. There's 4 things you should remember. Twice a day Sangat and Darshan of Guru Granth Sahib Ji, first thing. Second thing, reflect on the Bani with your family. Third thing, do Simran and Bhajan yourself. Fourth thing, ask from Guru Granth Sahib Ji and no one else. 4 things. Those 4 things that you will do in life, you will never see loss in your life. That's a Mahapurush's vachan. Mahapurush used to sna that in Sangat. And the Taksal Mahapurush used to say it. I'll say it again. Twice a day, darshan of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Second thing, do Simran, bhajan karo. Third thing, Gurbani, reflect on it. Recite it in front of your family. Take one pankti and discuss it with your family. What do you think this means? Start doing that. Fourth thing, ask from only in the company of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj. Because what did the Mahapurush do? What did Sant Jawala Singh Ji do? They joined everyone to Guru Granth Sahib Ji. Guru Granth Sahib Ji jagdi jyotya of Akal Pur Vaheguru. And there's beyond the story and Sakhiyan, but there's not enough time and not enough. Maybe another time. If I've said anything that's made anyone feel stressed in any way, shape or form, please forgive me. Please do kirpa that we get the Abanasi darshan of Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj at all times in this way, twice a day, in those 4 things, and we'll be able to reflect on the words that I've said to you. I can reflect on those words and do something with my Vyarth Jeevan, the way it's going at the moment. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.